I can't do it. Okay. We'll do it live.
Okay.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
Time to rise and grind.
Are you kidding me? Holy on smoke!
And let's get this banter going.
It's bacon!
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Does anybody else feel like a fried egg?
And it begins now.
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell,
I think I just broke my chair.
He did what?
Has anybody ever told you you have a serious impulse control problem?
There is but one cause for me to follow. Almighty the bum!
And here we go.
Oh, yeah!
Good morning. Welcome to this edition of Snowman in the Morning, coming to you live from North Carolina. Thank you all for joining us. Don't forget to follow us at SNW Digital Media. That's SNW Digital Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and Pinterest. And you can follow us as we rebuild snowmaninthemorning.com as well as arenasportsnet.com, one of our flagship stations, the other being RTF Sports Network. Follow them at rtfsportsnetwork.com, and Full Press Coverage, follow them at fullpresscoverage.com. On this edition, I got a little baseball chatter for you. Of course, I got some NBA stuff to talk about. William Morgan will join me in case you missed it yesterday. He was on the show twice, so you'll hear both parts of that conversation. Andre and the Black in Business podcast stopped by for a little chat. In case you missed a chat, it's going to be kind of a baseball-centric episode because Rick Curdy, I'll replay that conversation. Darnell Solins, the playmaker, and I had a little chat about the trade deadline that happened last week. And Cole Johnson sent me a lob for a dunk that I will just have to go in on. You'll hear that later on in the show. But first, I'm going to start with a little baseball. And remember me telling you last week, that in the same day Mookie Betts got traded to the Dodgers, that Jock Peterson has been jettisoned to the Angels? Well, supposedly that trade is off the table. The deal has fallen through, and Peterson would have brought power from the left side as more than likely a leadoff hitter and would have platooned with Brian Goodwin in right field. But that trade is off. It fell through on Sunday. Man, General Manager Billy Epler says the following, and I quote, "There are a lot of components and deals that need to be satisfied before you get to a point where you are calling players and informing them. We weren't able to get to that point. And in fairness to our players and players with other organizations, we won't comment further than that." Close quote. This is courtesy of MLB.com, the Dodgers and the Angels. The proposed trade, news of which broke late last Tuesday night, would have sent infielder Luis Rengifo to the Dodgers, as well as at least one prospect, while the Angels would have also received Andy Pages. I hope I'm reading that right. But after the original three-way trade between the Dodgers, Red Sox, and Twins fell through because of Boston's concerns with right-hander Brusdar Graterol's medicals, and rightfully so, the three clubs had to rework their deals. The Angels then called off their trade with the Dodgers, and this was broken first by Ken Rosenthal. Oops. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The trade would have sent Jock Peterson and right-hander Ross Stripling to the Angels. Stripling would have been a good fit for the Angels. Ross Stripling was an all-star in 2018. He'd have joined the rotation and would have been under team control through 2022. Now the Angels are going to have to decide what to do with Rengifo, as there is a chance he could still be traded for pitching help. He's 22 years old. He is expendable after the signing of one Anthony Rendon, and after Rendon committed after winning the World Series with the Washington Nationals. David Fletcher's emergence, Tommy LaStella's breakout during 2019, and LaStella was named an All-Star. You have to figure if the Angels don't make a trade for pitching, there will be a competition for the final spot in the rotation. Holy cow. Well, this is where this gets interesting, because Mookie Betts is now on his way to L.A., Kenta Maeda is now on his way to Minnesota, and I still raise the following questions. I still don't know what... This is confusing. This is where baseball gets very confusing to me. The only part that I know, the only part that I believe, is that Mookie Betts is on his way to Los Angeles. Jock Peterson is staying in Los Angeles. Are they going to both be good fits for the Dodgers going forward? Because you still have an issue of pitching to deal with. Okay? You still have... I mean, getting an all-star is great. Getting a former MVP is great. But I still turn to the Dodgers' problem of pitching. And not enough of it. Did Game 5 in the National League Division Series not teach the Dodgers anything? You don't have to spend your money on getting all-stars. I mean, hell, you have the best offense in the National League. You have to spend your money on what can get you beyond the division series, which is pitching. Do y'all realize the last 4 clinchers, I beg your pardon, the last 4 elimination games played in Dodger Stadium, the Dodgers have lost? 15 against the Mets in the division series, 17 against Houston, Game 7 of the World Series, 18 against the Red Sox, Game 5 of the World Series, and last year against the Washington Nationals, Game 5 of the Division Series. 4 elimination games, 4 losses. Matter of fact, the Dodgers have lost their last 5 elimination games. This is a team last year that won 106 games, and I'm inclined to think that they're only a regular season team. They make this blockbuster deal, had a second one in place before the second one fell through. Now you still have a left-hand bat in your lineup, but you don't know where to place him. Not only in the lineup, but in the field. It's more than likely he's still going to man center field. What does this do for Jock Peterson's confidence? What does this do for the Dodgers' confidence? You don't know where you're going to put him. You don't know where you're going to place him in the field or in the lineup. But back to my original point. The Dodgers' biggest problem is pitching. Let me say that again for those of you in the cheap seats. The Dodgers' biggest problem is pitching. There's a friend of mine by the name of Jonathan Mathis, a.k.a. the Sports Judge, one of my good buddies. I told him 2 years ago what the Dodgers' problem was. No bridge to Jansen. I'm, of course, referring to Kelsey Jansen, their closer, and he wasn't all of that this past year, this past season. So now that your closer has failed, and Dave Roberts didn't even bother to use him in the 10th inning of an elimination game. It's a playoff series. You put the regular season out of your mind, and you bring in one of the best arms that you have available to you, Dave Roberts. Instead, in the 10th inning, after Clayton Kershaw gave up those back-to-back home runs to Anthony Rendon and Juan Soto, and those are going to cause Clayton Kershaw nightmares. Well, Rendon won't because he's going to the American League, but Juan Soto is going to cause nightmares in the National League for a while. And then you bring in Joe Kelly. Here's a brief history from what I've watched of Joe Kelly. And it takes me back to 2012, Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. The bases were loaded, and the batter was Hunter Pence. What do you think happened? Joe Buck's call went something like this. Line drive, and it squirts by Cosma. 1 run scores. Sandoval scores. Jay dropped it in center, and they're going to bring home Posey. And it's 5-0. And the route was on. Fast forward to the National League Division Series of 2019. 10th inning, bases loaded. Kelly out working for his second inning. And he faces Howie Kendrick. Kelly ahead, a strike. Throws one down and into Howie Kendrick, and Howie Kendrick obliterated it to center field. You see where I'm going with this? You see where I'm going with this, folks? The Dodgers' problem after September is going to be pitching. Pitching wins you championships. And if you go back to the 2017 World Series, the Dodgers' pitching has been obliterated more than once. Hell, you can go back to 2016. You can go back to 2015 against the Mets. The Mets! And they had home field advantage. The problem is not going to be offense with the Dodgers. I mean, especially now since you have a former MVP on your squad and Mookie Betts. I will say this again for those of you in the cheap seats, if I can talk this morning, at Chavez Ravine. The Dodgers' problem is going to be pitching. And it will continue to be pitching until the Dodgers brass get enough cojones to bring in some folks that will settle their bullpen. And until they get enough cojones to jettison Clayton Kershaw. I said it, and I mean it. If he hasn't proven it to you already, never mind his 4 Cy Young awards, never mind all of the strikeouts, never mind all of the quality starts, the no-hitters, whatever. What has Clayton Kershaw done for the Dodgers in October? Forget what have you done for me lately. What has Clayton Kershaw done for the Dodgers in October? The Mookie Betts trade, the Jock Peterson trade that fell through won't mean a doggone thing unless the Dodgers get enough brass ones to solve the one problem that has plagued them for a decade. And it goes like this, and I will say it again until it gets solved. It's not going to be the offense that's going to be the problem. It's not going to be the defense that's going to be the problem. It's not going to be scoring runs. Hell, that's going to be even a bigger ease now with Mookie Betts, a jackrabbit on the loose. And they can lock up Mookie Betts for as long as they want. Don't expect them to, but they can lock up Mookie Betts for as long as they want. I will say it again until I am proven differently. The Dodgers' problem is going to be pitching. Get the point? I hope so. I truly hope they solve that. I would love to see the Dodgers win it again. Okay? But if you go back to the last time they won it all, which was 1988, if you go back 7 years before that, 1981, what was the strength of the Dodgers that's a weakness now? I will say it again. The Dodgers' problem is going to be, I'll say it again. I messed it up, but I will say it again as I'm heading to a break. I'm getting a signal in my ear from my executive producer, my beautiful Dr. K. The Dodgers' problem since 2015 was, has been, and always will be pitching. period. Due for a break. I got more baseball stuff for you. Javier Baez is ranked. Tim Anderson is not. I see a problem with that picture. A little Chicago baseball talk next. Snowman in the morning, back in a flash.
This is Snowman in the morning, where true sports talk lives.
He did what?
I did not need to be told that.
Welcome back. We continue on to the program here. Jennifer Garrett on the way. She was on the show yesterday. You'll hear a replay of that. Also, last week I taped Transition Tuesday a little early, and I didn't get a chance for y'all to hear it the remainder of the week. So there's no Transition Tuesday this week, but you'll hear a replay of the discussion that Russ Williams and I had last week. But I saw a list that Mike Bridgman, who's a very dear friend of mine from South Suburban College, put up. Top 10 shortstops in Major League Baseball according to the Shredder. First of all, the only thing I know about a Shredder is a tool that my wife has in our office. And two, the only other thing I know about the Shredder is a villain of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but I digress. According to the Shredder, from 10 to 1, the top 10 shortstop, number 10, Paul DeYoung, number 9, Carlos Correa, number 8, Jorge Polanco, number 7, Gleyber Torres, number 6, Fernando Tatis Jr., number 5, Xander Bogaerts, number 4, Marcus Semien, number 3, Javier Baez, number 2, Francisco Lindor, and number 1, Trevor Story. That's the list. Now, the comment that Mike Bridgman made, Baez, top 3 shortstop in all of baseball. Tim Anderson, not even in top 15. Okay. Now, Mike, I know you're a Cub fan. You're a Cub fan to your heart. I tease you about it, and I love you. But this kind of pissed me off, and I say that very, very playfully. I know there's still a lot more for Tim Anderson to prove, but I can name something that Tim Anderson got that a Cub didn't get last year, a batting title. I can name something the Sox had that the Cubs also had, no playoff appearance. I can name something that we got well before you did, 11 years before, a World Series title. But again, I digress. Tim Anderson has made a lot of mistakes since he's come up to the majors on the South Side, but you know what? You only get better over time. There was and still is a lot of hype over one Javier Baez, and let me be completely frank, he is one hell of a shortstop. But so is Tim Anderson. Don't leave Tim Anderson completely off the board. Well, the Shredder left him completely off the board. But I'm saying to the folks on the South Side, don't worry about Tim Anderson. He's going to be just fine. Has a batting title in his pocket, and he is committed to the White Sox. Heard an interview where he said he is all in. The White Sox are building something, and I'm not even going to get into some of the comments that I read under this post from a lot of Cub fans, I'm sure. But all this sleeping on Tim Anderson, all this brushing Tim Anderson aside, and he went out and won a batting title last year. Anderson is going to be one of the faces for the Chicago White Sox for a long time. A long time. Am I a realist? Yes, especially when it comes to sports. But damn it, this is one of the times I will defend my Southside Ball Club. I am willing to make this bet on the air, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I will bet anyone their favorite food, and please don't flood my inbox. Okay, I'm kidding as I say this, but I will bet anyone their favorite food that in Chicago that the White Sox will make the playoffs before the Cubs will. Because the White Sox have a head start on building something the Cubs lost after they won the World Series. A pitching staff. Want to know why the Cubs lost the NLCS in 2017? No arms. Want to know why they lost the Central Division title in 2018? No arms. Want to know why they lost the wild card game to Colorado? No arms. No arms. No arms. But sleep on Tim Anderson. All I'm going to say is this. Sleep on Tim Anderson all you want. Sleep on him all you want. Look at the errors. Look at the home runs. Look at the strikeouts. Look at all of the negative numbers that you want on one Tim Anderson. And I am willing to lay you a bet from dollars to donuts that all of them this year will improve. I can gladly say that and proudly say that. Not just because I'm a White Sox fan, because I've been a White Sox fan for as long as I've been alive. But at the same time, he's part of a team that's building something very special. But unfortunately, I got to call a spade a spade. The White Sox are facing the same problems that the Cubs are facing. We ain't got no arms. I mean, we got some young arms. We got some arms that'll carry us to the brink, and I'm hoping they grow up fast and become like the fearsome foursome we had in 2005 and take us beyond that. Do I believe that now? You know what? Yes, I do. It's the back end that's troubling me. It's the back end pitching for the White Sox that troubles me. That gives me a lot of pause for concern. A lot of cause for concern. I don't even think we have a closer yet. We've made a couple of moves, but the Sox are going to have to get some arms in the back end of that bullpen. Fresh arms. That's what troubles me. That's what troubles me about the White Sox, and it's troubled me about the White Sox, crazy as this sounds, since 2012, when we lost the division in the final week of the season. And since that time, the White Sox have not even come close to competing, which gives me a lot of cause for concern again. But for all of you that love Javier Baez, all you Cub fans that love Javier Baez, and I do too, even though I'm a Sox fan because I love how he plays, I love how Trevor Story plays, every shortstop on this list I absolutely love. I love watching them. But instead of worrying about where Javier Baez is ranked among shortstops, and I will say with conviction, Baez deserves every bit of the praise that he is getting, because he is one hell of a shortstop, and I mean that from the heart. I think Cub fans need to worry about something that's been troubling them since 2016. And it's the same thing that's been troubling the Dodgers since 2015. The problem for the Cubs, and I said it last segment, and I'll say it here, the problem for the Cubs is going to be pitching. It's going to be pitching. It's going to be pitching that'll be their undoing. It's going to be pitching that's going to cause them to fall. And I will throw this side note in there. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Okay? If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. And I'll be happy to admit that I'm wrong. Hell, I had to do it in 2016 when they won the whole damn thing. And another buddy of mine, Mike Hogue, is a staunch Cub fan and a very good friend of mine. You know what, Mike? You're too scared to come on my show and talk baseball anyway. I kid around as I say that. But be that as it may, for all of y'all that want to hop on the White Sox bandwagon by the time September gets here, and I know I'm boasting a little bit. I know I'm selling wolf tickets, as my dad used to say to me. I know that. But dang on it, I'm going to. If the bandwagon falls apart by May, so be it. Okay, this is February. It ain't March 26th. It's not opening day against the Kansas City Royals. That's when all of the moves that the White Sox made will be put in place. And I'm hoping like hell that they're put in place. I really am. I'm hoping like hell that they're put in place. And I mean put in place fast. Because we got a lot of work to do. There has been significant strides made since the last piece of 2005 and Paul Konerko has retired. Okay? There's been a lot of significant progress. Yasmani Grandal is a Southsider now. Jose Abreu is locked in for the next few years. Tim Anderson, locked in and all in. Don't sleep on us yet. I mean, we haven't woken up a lot of slumber since 2005, but give me a break, will you? For once I'm defending a team that I love, I'm being realistic at the same time. I'm being absolutely realistic at the same time. And I'll leave it there for the time being. Hell, one of my other favorite teams won the damn thing last year in the Washington Nationals. And this is before the Houston Astros got busted for cheating. And I got a lot to say about that, but I will say it later. I'll say it much later. Let me pause for a break right here. And Damian Adams joined me a week ago. We had a delightful conversation. You will hear it in its entirety. I got to go get some water. Snowman in the morning, back in a flash.
This is Snowman in the morning.
Holy on smoke!
Where true sports talk lives.
I like him. He's silly.
All right, folks, we continue on with the program, and I want to welcome back to the show a young man I had on a long time ago. Too damn long. He has been tearing it up in the podcast ranks, and I mean that with all the love in the world. I want y'all to listen for this name as he continues to climb the podcast ranks, the radio show ranks, and I tell you what, I'm so happy to have him back on my show to talk a little hoops with me. He is the host of The Real Deal with Damian Adams, and Damian Adams has joined me. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, man. Like you said, it's been way too long, but I'm super happy to be back on the show with you.
Oh man, I am excited to have you with me. So let's talk. Let's talk NBA because it's one of our specialties, and you and I we're playful with each other on the internet when we go back and forth on social media. But first of all, let me get your thoughts on one Kobe Bean Bryant.
Man, just such a tragic tragedy. You know, when you think about the fact that we lost 9 people way too soon, and you know the thoughts go through your mind of, you know, should they have ever gotten on a helicopter? When you hear about how foggy it was. You know, should they have, you know, we know that it was a way of life for Kobe to take a helicopter because it just made things easier for him.
Yeah. When
it comes to traffic and just being able to move around with somebody who's that famous, not, you know, being on the streets with everybody and things like that. So we get it that was something he did normally like we do with our cars every day. But you just wonder if that's the day they should have changed up the routine because of the weather, and could they have changed things? But, you know, you can't go back. And so now you just have to take time to not only remember Kobe, but remember Gigi and remember all the victims on this, you know, on that flight. With Kobe, when you think about Kobe, he definitely made a great impact on the world. And if there's one silver lining to this tragedy, is the fact that you see how many people he affected in such a major way. And
LeBron's speech this past Friday night, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The LeBron speech this past Friday night had me crying, okay? Especially when he spoke from the heart. I absolutely adored that.
Yeah, definitely. It was the tribute as a whole just was so touching. And it was understandable afterwards how it was kind of a weird feeling because you're watching the game and in the arena you could hear a silence.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was some cheering here, some cheering there, but it was an eerie silence. Like people didn't know how to react.
Yeah.
They didn't know, is it okay to move on now? And the thing is, it's okay to move on. You know that you never forget. We're going to have moments where things are going to remind us of Kobe. There's going to be moments where someone does something special where only, Kobe and Michael or LeBron did it, and we're going to remember Kobe again. So we're never going to forget Kobe Bryant. We're never going to forget Gigi. We're not going to forget those other victims on that flight. And that's what the main thing is, to make sure that we keep them in our hearts. And for Kobe, man, when you think of Kobe, for me, I just think of the Mamba mentality. I think of someone who, as he put it, was a talented overachiever. He had the God-given gifts of being 6'6", 6'7", with, great athleticism, but worked as if he was someone like a Matthew Dellavedova. He had that type of work ethic if he was somebody who was, scratching and gnawing to stay in the league. So that's how I remember Kobe, as someone who had the talent of, a Tracy McGrady and Vince Carter and all those guys who worked as if he was the 12th man on the roster.
Yeah, and you'd see it in all of the legends. You see it in all of the guys that shaped this league and made this league what it is now. The international stars, the national stars, all coming together, all offering their thoughts and their prayers for the Bryant family, for the other families, including the Altobelli family that lost their life on that helicopter. And I've said many times on this program, and I know you've heard it, it not only hurts me as a fan, but it particularly hurts me as a parent.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. I don't have kids yet, but the first thing, like when it happened, the first person who contacted me was my dad, right? And he, just wanted to say I love you, because you never know when those moments will be lost to be able to say I love you to the next person. We've all lost somebody close to us in not such a horrific way as this, but we've all experienced some type of loss. And this just puts into perspective how life is the longest thing you'll do, but it's also something that can end very quickly. So we just have to take every moment and cherish it.
Yeah. Yeah, I say I love you to my wife and my children all the time. You know the story of my baby girl, Donna. I lost her when she was 2. 2015, I lost my dad in 2007. So, yeah, from both ways, it affected me as a fan, as a parent, and as a son. And as you said best, my friend, you have to live your life to the fullest. That's what Kobe did. That's what I'm trying to do. I know that's what you're trying to do, and a fabulous show in the process of doing it. Let's talk some NBA, man. They made some changes to the All-Star game in terms of the scoring, and I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at the changes, but I have. And considering it's in my hometown of Chicago, the All-Star game is, and I know they're doing this to honor Kobe. And rightfully so. But I got to be honest with you, man. I took a look at the rules and I went, what the hell are these?
Yeah, I got a chance to look at the rules. I posted it in the group, The Real Deal with Damian Adams group.
Yes. From
the 3-point conversion. They posted the rules, and I shared it from their page. And yeah, I had the same reaction you did. I was looking over and I was trying to understand exactly what they were trying to do.
You and I have talked sports a long time. You know that look on my face. I saw the rule and I looked at that link that you posted. And folks, check out the 3-point conversion as well. Another fabulous group of sports journalists. What the hell are these rules, man? What the hell are they trying to do?
The only thing I can say that they're trying to do is maybe this is their way of trying to amp up the competition through all 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Because we know normally with the All-Star game, what you get is you get the first 2 quarters and a half where they're just kind of jogging back and forth. You'll get some alley-oops. You'll get some long-distance threes. And then the competition doesn't really go up until the fourth quarter if it's close. And that's when you'll start to get real competition.
And that's a big if. It hasn't been close for a while, but that's a big if.
So with these rules, what they're trying to say is, okay, we're going to have each quarter count as a win or a loss, and maybe that will wrap up the competition. But to me, if you want to honor Kobe, it's up to the players.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can do all the things from an outside perspective, like them wearing 24 and wearing 2 to honor Kobe and Gigi. That's awesome. But if they want to honor Kobe as far as the play on the court itself, they have to just go out and leave it on the floor. There's a reason Kobe had 4 All-Star MVPs is because he went out there and really played. So those guys, like, there's certain players who do play, like Giannis. Like, some people say Giannis plays too hard in the All-Star game. That's something that Kobe would love. So yeah, him, LeBron plays hard. Those guys are going to bring it, and I think that's the normal way you should honor them.
Kobe, MJ, LeBron, Julius Erving back in the day for me when I got started watching, Magic Johnson. You want to honor Kobe? Play that way.
Yeah. Nah, I definitely agree with that. Like, if they just went out there and said, okay, we're going to play for real, that's the thing. You're still going to get the highlights because of the best players in the world. So you're going to have moments where you get a steal, you get a fast break, and you'll still get to have those moments where you throw the ball at the backboard and some crazy athlete used to come and jam it down. You'll still have those highlights. Yep. And it'll be even better if we know that came off of a real play.
Yeah, if it came within the flow of the offense, if it came, like you said, off of a real play. Let me ask you this, and I've talked so many times on this program about ratings being down for the NBA, and my theory is this, and I'm not throwing shade at anybody, but I want you to think about this, and I want your thoughts. Does the NBA and its ratings miss the Splash Brothers?
They definitely miss the Splash Brothers. They miss Steph, Clay. You miss Zion for a huge portion of the year. So those injuries in themselves really cost, right?
Yeah.
Then LeBron being on the West Coast hurts you because his games come on late in the East Coast, where people are asleep already. You combine the fact that the Warriors, who have been your biggest draw for the past 5 years, are no longer a draw at all. LeBron being on the West Coast. The rookie phenom who was supposed to, have New Orleans on the map was missing for most of the first half of the season. That's really going to hurt your ratings, right? So now that Zion's back, Steph will be back. They say maybe 6 weeks to be reevaluated, but the Warriors, I think, they're pretty much lost for this year. So when you have Zion coming back, in the playoffs starting where you have games coming on every night and a little earlier, I think that's when you'll start to see those ratings get back up.
Yeah.
And plus, football season officially ended yesterday. I think the NBA will be okay.
Yeah, I think so too. It was just so many factors that came in at the top of the season. Talking with Damian Adams of The Real Deal with Damian Adams on all things NBA. Man, it's so much to unpack right now. I haven't had you on in a long time. I had one of our mutual friends on, Courtney Harden, a few years ago to talk all things NBA All-Star Game, and we bust out the old school All-Star Game talk and how it was competitive. And I was on his show recently, and we talked the same thing. Is the NBA missing that competitiveness now than it was back in the 80s and the 90s?
I wouldn't say it's missing it per regular season games and postseason games. The All-Star Game, definitely. Like, you're not going to see that competitiveness. But I do think that the players themselves are just as competitive as they were back then. The game has changed. So now that competitiveness just comes out in a different way. So in the 90s, when people were competitive and you saw people get frustrated with Jordan, that's when you saw Bill Laimbeer come and hit Jordan. Those things aren't going to happen now.
That's when you saw the rise of the bad boys, and on top of that, that's when you saw the Bulls answer them.
Exactly, yeah. So, it was a different way to, channel your competitiveness back then than it is now. But now you have it to where it's so much more free flowing. I believe the game today is more attractive than it was then.
Yeah.
When you think about the way that the game is so spread out and how you get so many great plays and you get to see these athletes on offense do what they do. And defensively, I believe it's harder to play today than it was back then because you're not allowed to touch up the players like you were back then. There's no hand checking. People forget about hand checking. Like that, it makes your job so much easier when you can just have your hand on the player, holding them pretty much as they're trying to make their move as you guard them.
No hand checking.
You have to move your feet.
No
you
arm
have to
bars.
Move your feet.
No arm bars. You can't do that either.
Exactly. That's gone.
Don't get me started on screens. Don't get me started on fundamental screens, man.
No, that's a big thing. That's one of the things that I used to hate watching the Warriors as they're going through their success. You see Draymond Green get away with illegal screens all day. But it's something.
Draymond Green in modern times was Bill Laimbeer and James Edwards back in the 80s and 90s, all right, for the bad boy Pistons. Let's just be
That's
real.
One thing I'll say about Draymond. Draymond's one of those players that was built for back then. Like, if he was playing back then, he'll fit right in.
Absolutely.
So it's something that, like, the style has changed, but I think the competitiveness of the players is still there. They're just smarter about the way they go about it. I'm not a big fan of the load management, but I get it. When you have a player who may have a sore knee or tendonitis, like a Kawhi Leonard, you may be smarter to manage it, but some players are just built different. Like LeBron could play in any era, right?
Yes.
Because the way he's built, he could, plow through anybody. He could plow through the 80s, because he's built for that. So I think we should appreciate the 80s and 90s for what it was, and we still could appreciate today for the wide open spread game that we have and the entertainment we get today.
I'll give you a couple of dream matchups I would love to have seen across eras. Start with the guard position. Wouldn't you love to see a couple of games when AI would go up against Stephen Curry?
It'd be amazing. Neither one of them could stop each other. But it'd be amazing to watch. It would
be so amazing. Yeah. The dribbling sensation of AI, the dribbling of Stephen Curry, clear the floor and let them go at it, man.
Yeah, exactly. And we only got a taste of it. We got very young Steph against older AI. So we didn't get to see them in their prime against each other. I wish we could have got to see that because you think about AI and him being so dominant in the mid-range and being able to drive to the goal at his size, being maybe the best pound-for-pound player of all time. Then with Steph, no matter what era you play in, you can't stop a guy who's shooting from 6 feet behind the line. Like, it doesn't matter what era you're in, how rough you try to be. If he's pulling up from 6 feet behind the line, it doesn't matter. Really, so I don't think they couldn't stop each other.
I mean, how many times I get the Warriors Network, they're on KNBR or 95.7 The Game, I beg your pardon. How many times have we heard Tim Roy or Bob Fitzgerald on NBC Sports Bay Area go, he's shooting from the logo? And you're thinking, what?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Steph, Dame has become logo Lillard.
Oh, man. So Damian has really grown. I love watching Damian Lillard play. Love watching him play.
Yeah, no, he's amazing.
I mean,
he's amazing.
We got Damian and Steph last year in the West Finals. I just wish it had gone longer than 4 games. But when you're playing the two-time Warriors, and they weren't even at full strength, so that tells you, A, how far Portland has advanced, and B, how tough the Warriors were. I'll give you a dream matchup. How about an ultimate three-point contest? Let's do this. An ultimate three-point contest. You got to have Ray Allen. You got to have Steph. You got to have Clay. You got to throw Larry Bird in the picture.
Definitely.
You got to throw Reggie Miller in the picture.
Yep.
Right?
No, you definitely got to have those 5. If you throw in a 6th for ultimate three-point contest,
who would be
think about, like, there's so many great shooters.
Yeah, there is. There is. Who would be that?
So many great.
Who would be that 6th
I'm thinking Glenn Wright.
Yeah, that's 6. We gotta have 8.
Yeah,
we gotta have 8. We got Steph. We got Steph. We got Clay, Bird, Reggie Miller, Glenn Rice, Ray Allen.
Yeah.
We got 6, and you gotta have 7. We gotta have 7 and 8. We gotta have 7 and 8 because back in the day you had 8 competitors.
Yeah, no, definitely. So if you're gonna go old school with 8 competitors for Craig Hodges.
Yes, thank you, Craig Hodges. And you know what?
Yes, because he was amazing.
I know who the 8th person is. Steve Kerr.
Yeah. Now, Steve Kerr is definitely, I think he still holds the record for his most accurate three-point shooter of all time.
Yeah.
So, got to have him in there as well.
Got to have Steve Kerr. Now, how about the ultimate slam dunk contest?
Well, you got to have Vince Carter.
You got to have Vinsanity. Got to have MJ.
Yeah. Got MJ.
Kobe.
Dominique Wilkins.
Dominique Wilkins. Kobe gets a vote.
Yeah, I'll throw Kobe in there as well.
Kobe gets a vote.
I would go a little new school and take Zach LaVine.
Yeah,
Zach LaVine's nasty.
Zach LaVine.
Yeah.
You want to stay new school? Here's another new schooler I'd add. You'd have to be a few years back. Andre Iguodala.
Andre Iguodala was nasty. He was good in the contest. He was pretty good. He's somebody who gets forgotten about because of Nate Robinson. But
right.
Andre Iguodala was nasty. Yeah, he was nasty in the contest.
Yep.
Someone else who was nasty. He's not so new school anymore. He retired a few years ago. But Jason Richardson.
Jason Richardson.
Very good in the dunk contest.
Julius Erving.
Yeah, his battles with Desmond Mason were great.
Julius Erving.
You gotta have Dr. J. He's
gotta have Dr. J.
Yeah.
And the one who won it in '84 to start the new trend, Larry Nance. He was the first to have a 2-ball dunk. You gotta have Larry Nance in there.
Yeah. Now Larry Nance definitely his athleticism at that size was just crazy. For him to be doing those things,
man.
And at that time too, that was crazy.
Yeah, that was crazy. But like I said, we got to have Dr. J in there because he dunked from the foul line in 1976, and then Jordan did it in '85 in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the 2-ball competition involving the best pairs, and you know where I'm going to start. You know where I'm going to start first. I got to go to my hometown and get MJ and Scotty to start with.
Yeah.
Gotta have
MJ Scotty.
Gotta have MJ and Scotty.
Yeah. Definitely. Shaq and Kobe.
Gotta
have. One that doesn't have any championships, but definitely should be up there is Gary Payton and Sean Kemp.
Yeah. Oh, I got a pair for you.
That alley-oop combo was great.
Yes, I got a pair for you. KJ and Charles Barkley. There's a pair.
Kevin Johnson might be the most underrated player of all time.
Thank you.
He was amazing.
We've spoken about KJ. And I posted online that KJ is one of the most underrated point guards to ever play. Which gives me this.
Definitely.
If we expand our ultimate three-point competition to 10 players, I got number 9 for you right now, and that's Mark Price from back in the day with the Cleveland Cavaliers. How about that?
Yeah. Mark Price was great, man. He's somebody who a lot of people sleep on him, but when you see people split up pick and roll today, like that started with Mark Price.
It started with Mark Price. It absolutely started with Mark Price. So you got MJ, MJ and Scotty, Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah, Gary and Sean
Kemp. KJ and Charles. Stockton Malone. Gotta have Stockton Malone.
Yeah, because that's the greatest duo to not win. Like you have to give them that.
Yeah.
Because you think about one is second all time in points, the other one is first all time in steals and assists.
Yep. Which leads to this. Magic with anybody. James Worthy, Kareem, Byron Scott.
Yeah. That's the thing. You could pick the Lakers team, you could pick a bunch of different duos.
You can pick anybody for that team.
You just put Magic there, and you could just put anybody else there. Like those Showtime Lakers are amazing. Like Magic Kareem, you definitely have to put up there though, as far as duos. This one's for
my wife. How about a couple of Indiana Pacers, Mark Jackson and Reggie Miller?
That's a good duo. That's really good.
You got to put them
I think an underrated one for the 2000 finals was Jalen Rose and Reggie Miller. Yeah, those guys, because they were one of the few duos ever to both score 40 points in the game.
Yep.
People sleep on Jalen Rose and they think of him just as the analyst or the one who got dropped 81 on by Kobe, but he had a pretty good career. People sleep on that.
He did. He absolutely did. He absolutely did. Here you go. Speaking of Knicks, Charles Oakley and Patrick Ewing.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's probably the most physical duo that's going to be there. Definitely.
Or here's a physical duo: Larry Bird and Kevin McHale. Since we're talking about duels.
Yeah, no, that's a nasty one. You got the inside-out game.
Yep.
You got the man of 1,000 post moves.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin McHale. When you speak of underrated players, Kevin McHale has to be up there as well.
Yes.
Just because of time, people have forgotten how good he was, and plus he was under the shadow of Larry Bird and Robert Parrish. Like, he's one of those guys. Like, he could just go in the post and do work. He wasn't the most athletic.
You want underrated?
But he just does work.
I posted this, and you agreed with this name. Speaking of underrated, James Worthy.
Yeah, he gets lost because of Magic and Kareem. Mm-hmm. He's somebody who was definitely an awesome player in his day, so you definitely have to give him respect in that way.
Absolutely. You got to have. How about Tim Duncan and David Robinson? There's a pair.
Yeah, no, that definitely was that's a great duo. If you got Tim Duncan, you also have to put Tim Duncan, Tony Parker in there.
Mm-hmm. Pick and roll with Parker and Duncan, or Duncan and Parker, as was the case many times. Let's stay in Texas. Akeem Olajuwon and Ralph Sampson.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, that team definitely should have won some championships when he was younger. Of course, Akeem got his two when he got older, but when he was with Ralph Sampson, they definitely should have got one.
How about a current duo, or a duo that I wish was current? Luka Doncic and Dirk Nowitzki. Speaking of Mavericks.
Oh man, yeah. We could somehow put Dirk in the time machine. That would be awesome.
Yep.
I think Dirk and not Dirk, but I think Luka and Porzingis will be a great duo soon.
Yes.
I think those two will work together and become great. Mm-hmm. We got Stephen Clay. Got to put Stephen Clay in there.
Got to have the Splash Brothers.
Yeah,
you have to
put those two in there.
You just have to wonder what records they would set. How about let me go back to my hometown, Derrick Rose and Luol Deng, and how good they were.
That's a good one. Yeah, if Derrick Rose could have stayed healthy longer,
I know
that team could have been. That team definitely could have won championship with the defense they had, running the offense with Derrick Rose.
And I said the only thing that stopped the Bulls in the Thibodeau era from winning titles was injuries, because they were beat up by the time 2013 got here. And I hated that. I hated that they were that worn out and they were that beat up. So we got to throw them in there. Rose and Luol Deng, Kobe and Pau Gasol.
Yeah, that's a good duo.
There's a combination.
That's a good duo. People forget how good Pau Gasol was in his prime. Mm-hmm. He's arguably a top 10 power forward all time. And people, because Kobe was so great, people sleep on that. But Pau Gasol.
Yeah.
In his prime, man, he was really good.
Oh, how about this duo? Mike Bibby and Chris Webber.
That's a good one. That's a team that probably should have won a championship. 2002, that 2002 Sacramento Kings team is up there. When you talk about the greatest teams to not win,
Kings,
the 2002 Sacramento Kings team is definitely right there.
Yeah. One of the most epic Western Conference Finals we've ever seen. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Damian Lillard.
You got to put LeBron and Kobe.
You got to have LeBron and Kobe.
I mean, not LeBron and Kobe, but LeBron and Dwayne Wade.
There you go.
You got to put LeBron and Dwayne Wade.
LeBron and Flash. I just spoke their names.
Talking about Damian and
Lillard. Thank you, Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum. Or if you want to go back in the day for the Portland Trailblazers, Clyde Drexler and Terry Porter.
That's a very good one. That's one that probably gets forgotten in history. That's a very good one.
It's a forgotten duo. The Portland Trailblazers in 1990, they were a forgotten West champion because everybody had their eyes on Phoenix after they upset the Lakers and took them out of the playoffs.
Yeah, definitely. No, that Portland team should have got one. They should have got a championship in there.
They should have got one. They should have got. Here you go, Rudy Gobert and Donovan Mitchell. If you want to stay modern,
that's a duo that's pretty good for the years to come. you think about Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's what, 23, 24, and Gobert's like 27.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you got a team. That's a pretty good duo for years to come.
Yeah, it is. It is. Damian Adams of The Real Deal with Damian Adams. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Oh, man, thank you again for having me on the show. I really do appreciate it. You can find me everywhere on social media at The Real Deal WDA. So that's The Real Deal, W as in whiskey, D as in Delta, A as in Alpha. The show, The Real Deal with Damian Adams, is available wherever you listen to podcasts. So if you listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Castbox, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts, you can find The Real Deal with Damian Adams. It's real sports talk for real sports fans. So I know if you listen to this show, you're a real sports fan, and you will enjoy my show as well.
I truly appreciate those words, my man. Please subscribe to The Real Deal with Damian Adams. I'm a subscriber. I recommend his podcast. I recommend his show. He just recommended mine. Man, thank you so much for coming on. I got to have you on again more often. We got to do this again.
Definitely. I got to have you on my show as well. We got to make this connection happen more often. Thank you again, sir.
You got it, my friend. Thank you very much.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
He did what?
I did not need to be told that.
Time for Transition Tuesday here on the program, and you know I can't do this by myself, so I got Russ Williams with me. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Happy to talk to you again, Snowman. There's another Tuesday, and that makes time for our Transition Tuesday segment. I love it.
Yes, indeed it is. You can catch him every Tuesday night for a full show of Transition Tuesday. I had the chance to be on it, and for the better part, bragged about my beautiful wife, who's also one of my executive producers of the program. So your subject this week had me salivating, because there's a phrase that says you can go from being the hunter to being the hunted. And when you threw this at me, I was licking my chops for this. Let's go. What you got for me?
Absolutely, Snowman. Well, there's some game plan steps, or as I like to coin the phrase, GPSs, that you have to take when you're transitioning to being the hunted. The first GPS is, and I'll start by this, Snowman. Snowman, are you a hip-hop fan at all?
I am.
All right. Now, I don't know if you remember, this group came out 25 years ago called the Wu-Tang Clan.
Oh, I remember them quite well.
And they had a pop. You remember them quite well? Well, they had a great song that gives us our first GPS. And that first GPS that they had, but the song that they had was called Protect Your Neck.
Yes.
So you have to protect your neck. That's right. You got to protect your neck when you're transitioning to being the hunted.
Absolutely.
And what I mean by that is you have to protect your neck at all times. You have to protect your neck at all times, because when you're the hunted, people are coming for your neck. They're coming for you. And the great thing about that title, Protect Your Neck, there was a hip hop scholar who was part of the group, Raekwon the Chef.
Yes.
He had a great phrase, and he said, he had a great phrase, and he says, half of us will try to make it, the other half will try to take it.
Yes.
So just like I'm saying here with the Protect Your Neck, it's very important, because you earn the right to be hunted. People earn the right to be hunted through their hard work and dedication at their craft. So you have to protect your neck at all costs. So that is the first GPS when transitioning to be the hunted. Second GPS is you have to stay humble when you're being the hunted. What I mean by that is, Snowman, is you're going to wear a bullseye on your back. So you have to wear that bullseye on your back with humility and grace. But also, on another hand, you have to really show people why you're the hunted now. And that's because due to your talent. So you really have to really stay humble, and when you're going from being the hunter to the hunted.
What's so huge, and you bring up two very good steps: protect your neck and use the humility. You would think and stay humble. I beg your pardon. You would think they would be on opposite sides of the spectrum, and to the naked eye, they are on opposite sides of the spectrum. But at the same time, they are very much one and the same. And being the hunted, if I'm reading you as correctly as I think I am, being transitioning from being the hunter to being the hunted, that involves a lot of confidence too.
It does. It definitely does. You know, like take, for example, the Chiefs. The Chiefs are now, they won the Super Bowl, so they are now going to be the hunted team. So every opponent that they play next year, they're gonna treat that game as like their Super Bowl. You know, they're the hunted. Also, the 49ers, even though they lost the game, they too are going to be the hunted team.
They're the NFC champions. They're the NFC champions.
Absolutely.
They're the NFC West champions.
Yes,
and this is a team that came out of nowhere. And sometime back during the season, I likened the 49ers to the Golden State Warriors, coming out of nowhere, snatching a conference title, which no one expected them to get. So the Chiefs and the 49ers are the hunted. They are indeed the hunted.
Absolutely, yeah. They're the hunted. You know, those teams, they're the hunted. They're really going to, you know, people are going to be going for that neck. You got to protect your neck.
Absolutely.
And the Chiefs and the 49ers, you have to protect your neck. You know, I'm looking at the Iowa caucuses that just went down, you know, recently. You know, the Democratic nominees, the person there, whoever comes out of that caucus is now going to be the front runner. So they are going to be the hunted as well. So they too have to protect their necks as well.
Well, with whoever comes out of the Iowa caucuses, not only are they the hunted, they're also the hunter trying to succeed the incumbent that's in office right now.
Absolutely, yes. You make a great point there, Snowman. Absolutely. So you always got to protect your neck. And, you know, we apply this sometimes to sports as we're doing now, you know, politics or what have you, but this could be everyday use for people, you know, people who are just, you know, starting out in jobs, you know, getting that job that they crave. You know, now they become the hunted. With everybody else trying to get their position in their spot. So I always recommend those two spots, you know, those two GPSs. You got to protect your neck from the jump, and also you got to stay humble in your process too as well.
Which one of these two steps do you think is the toughest to maintain?
Well, in my case, I live life with humility. So, for me, in my case, probably protect your neck would be the toughest one for me. Because again, it's all about, that's just a mentality that you have to really absorb. Like really you have to be confident. When you're protecting your neck, when you're protecting your self-worth at all costs, you got to be really confident in doing that, you know? So so in my case, I think protect your neck will be the toughest for me because I always try to live with humility all through my life. So, but protecting your neck will probably be the toughest one.
Well, for me, it's a combination of both because, and I go back, I mention my wife all the time on this program. Until I met her, I never knew how to put the entire picture together. And there are some days and there are some stretches of time where I still have difficulty putting the entire picture together. But learning about her and what she's going through, it's becoming easier each day. It's a combination of both for me. Being the hunted, having the confidence in doing what I do in this program and the other programs that I put together, and also launching Snowman Digital Media, her having her confidence in what she's doing, you know, the confidence is there. You know, being the hunted is starting to become a reality, and in a good way, and I think I know you as well as I do to say this, in a good way, it also becomes a habit.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so like take you, for example, Snowman, because you're climbing up the food chain in the podcast realm, right? So you're really doing that. So now you're going to you are becoming the hunted. You know, people are hearing more about the podcast, everything you do with the podcast. People are coming for that. So you too, Snowman, my man, have to protect your neck.
Yes.
You know that.
Yes, I do. And not just for me and not just for the fans that listen to the show, also for my family. You know, it's so big. It's so big. You know this very well. It's so big, and I'm glad you referenced that song and referenced that particular song, Protect Your Neck. Let me speak to the men about this, and we talk to the men all the time. You got to protect your neck, especially when it comes to your craft, when it comes to your home, and when it comes to your family.
Absolutely. Just like Raekwon the Chef said, half of us will try to make it,
The other half will try to take it.
Absolutely. Hey, Snowman, speaking of that Super Bowl and everything, what do you think about like the commercials of the Super Bowl? And more in particular, that Brady, the Tom Brady commercial, which I thought he was trolling people. In the case of, what's he gonna do? And like for me, I'm just looking at that commercial, looking at Tom Brady. He is a guy who is going to be hunted as well, because he's going to be coveted. He's going to be romanced by other teams if he decides to leave the Patriots. So I want to get your thoughts on that. What were your thoughts on that Tom Brady commercial, him trolling the world? That's what I thought he was doing.
You know what? He trolled the world, but he also, for me, answered a question. He's not going anywhere. He's not going anywhere. You know, that's how I think of it. He's been coming out of that tunnel for 20 years. And he's at the end of his contract right now, and the whole social media universe has gone upside down, wondering where he's going to land next. And I've read some articles of where he could land. I mean, he's from California. He idolized Joe Montana for years. He's not going anywhere. He's staying right there in New England. This is Tom Brady we're talking about. Has he lost a step? Certainly. Has he lost a little zip on his arm? Certainly. But you really think he wants to move away from Bill Belichick and start a learning process all over again after what he's had for 20 seasons? I think not.
Well, I look at it kind of a little differently there, Snowman, because I'm looking at it almost like a Kobe Bryant with Shaq sense.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant, he strived to, get away from out of Shaq's shadow and prove to the world that he can win without Shaq. So I'm thinking these guys are two competitors, Belichick and Brady. And I can see Brady as a competitor, seeing if he can do it on his own, so that way he won't be, left with the stigma of those two winning championships. I think he might be up to the challenge to do that. But again, it's all speculative. We don't really know. But I can see him trying to do it, though. I can definitely see him trying to do it and go elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. We will just have to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting to see how that process plays out. Speaking of process, that's the end of this one. This is Transition Tuesday with Russ Williams. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Absolutely. On Twitter, you can find me at allwilltransition. On Instagram, you can find me at allwilltransitions with an S. And please, your audience out there, please email me at allwilltransitions@gmail.com. Again, I'm available for transitional services in terms of individual instructions and sessions that I provide, and also I'm also for speaking engagements as well. So just hit me there at allworldtransitions@gmail.com. Would love to talk to you guys, and make sure everybody protects your neck out there.
That's our Transition Tuesday, going from being the hunter to being the hunted. And you'd like to be the hunted because it lets you know you're one of the best at your craft. Thanks a lot, my friend. Appreciate the time.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
He did what?
I did not need to be told that.
Welcome back to the program, folks. So, in case you don't know, football is not over. And I don't mean just because my friend Mike DeBate and I are going to talk the course of the NFL offseason. A new league launched in the form of the XFL. Yes, it is back. And I don't know what the hell's going on. I kid when I say that. I have to bring William Morgan back on the hotline with me. What's going on, man?
How you guys doing today? Thank you for having me again.
Okay. I'll repeat my question with a smile on my face and a very selfish intent to make you laugh. What the hell's going on?
Well, opening day for the new season was yesterday, and it was a little bit smoother than it has been today. I have not seen the game that kicked it off today, but I'm currently watching the game right now, and it's a tough defensive battle it looks to be.
Yeah.
Look, yesterday we had the DC Defenders defeat my Seattle Dragons 31-19 after all the issues we had yesterday. Oh my goodness. Oh, we had issue after issue. But I'm sticking by my team though. You're sticking by
so the Seattle Dragons are your team?
Yes, that's my team. That's where I'm from, and I'm sticking by my team. Then we also had yesterday the Houston Roughnecks behind P.J. Walker, who I call P.J. the Truth Walker. 4 touchdowns. They get a big victory against the L.A. Wildcats, 37-17.
Yep.
So, great day yesterday. There's a lot of different rules that's come down into the XFL this year, and primarily it's geared for all offense. As you can see, if you watched the games yesterday, there were no extra points. You have you can go literally. You can go if you score a touchdown, you can go for 3. If you're down by 9, you can go for 3.
So you go from the 2-yard line for 1 point, the 5-yard line for 2 points, and the 10-yard line for 3 points. So you can literally make up 18 points in 2 possessions.
Yep.
Okay.
You surely can.
So they kept that. They kept that part of it. They fixed the kickoffs, and I love that. There's no scramble for the kickoff for opening possession anymore. They actually do kick it off. Field goals are still in play, but you need to explain this to me. They actually are going to allow a double forward pass?
Yep. And that's part of keeping the game unique, fresh, but it's also there to make sure it's still geared toward the offense in this league as well.
Now, I've seen and have been a part of backward passes that go to a forward pass. How does this double forward pass work?
How does it work?
How does the double... I've never seen it. I've seen so many quarterbacks run across the line of scrimmage, and I've seen an illegal forward pass. The only time I can honestly say that I've seen a double forward pass is in a scramble situation where you're trying to get the ball downfield, just as Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints against your Seahawks in the playoffs. Is that the concept?
Yes, that's the concept of it. And keep in mind too, if you want to, your formations or your player personnel can be whatever. So if you want to take out a tight end and put in another quarterback, you can do that.
Really? Wow.
Yep.
So now you can have 2 quarterbacks on the field. I've actually seen that happen a couple times. Okay, I had a chance to take a look at the uniforms. True or false? The Tampa Bay Titans, and much respect to them, have the
Tampa Bay Vipers.
Vipers. Thank you. The Tampa Bay Vipers have the ugliest damn uniforms I've ever seen in my life.
That's what everybody's saying on Facebook.
I mean, I think the Washington Generals had better uniforms in the USFL than these that I've seen. And I understand them trying to highlight the green. It's a little bit of a USF motif, the University of South Florida motif, but what the hell are those? I mean, this is.
Oh,
wait a minute. And you know what's bad? I showed my wife a picture of that uniform. She handed the phone right back to me and went, "I don't want to see that ever again." I mean, I know they're trying to. I look. These uniforms are better than some of the uniforms I saw last year in the Alliance of American Football. Let's just get that piece of truth out of the way. Okay?
Yes.
But the Tampa Bay Vipers, you would think they would darken the... And I don't want to make this all about the uniforms because, hey, some of the uniforms I've seen in 2001 left a lot to be desired when the XFL premiered this time.
True that.
But damn. If that's their road uniforms, I'm almost afraid, and I mean this kiddingly, I'm almost afraid to see what the home uniform's like.
Oh man. Man.
But I will see. I will say this: these uniforms for the XFL this time around are a lot better than the ones that we saw back in 2001. So are the nicknames, where they put the teams. They concentrated on the big markets. I like how the Seattle Dragons motif is. I like that combination.
Oh yeah.
Which brings to mind this question, and I believe I know your answer, but I want to be sure I put it out there, and I'm going to make this my question of the day a little bit later on in the show. Can the XFL last beyond one season this time?
Yes.
That's what I thought. I really believe
You're looking at about 2 to 3 years with the money that Vince has put into it.
Mm-hmm.
You see, he's put a lot of money into it. Another thing too that I think will make it last 2 or 3 years is the fact that Vince is no longer running the day to day.
Yes.
That's going to Commissioner Luck.
Yeah.
So he's not running the day to day of the XFL. Who Commissioner Luck is, and I really think this could last. Matter of fact, it may end up being expanded upon because right now you're looking at 8 cities that are major NFL cities, but there's other cities who got left out.
Yeah.
There's no team in Carolina. There's no team in Georgia. So, you know, we can get some of those teams to up this thing to 10. You want to move a team out in Vegas? There you go. So we can definitely do some things in the XFL to definitely last beyond this season.
And you said the most important thing. Vince McMahon is not a part of the day-to-day operation. He just funded the league. He said he's going to put $500 million toward the league, which will give it 3 full seasons. And then he hired a football mind in Oliver Luck. Most of you should know that name, especially in Indianapolis. Okay? Most people should know the name Oliver Luck. I know I certainly do. He hired a football mind. When will the Cleveland Browns ever get this right? He hired a football mind to run the day-to-day operations for this league.
Yes.
So
that's correct.
As of this first weekend, it is poised for success beyond year 1.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So
I believe it would be. I believe it would be a huge success if opening day is any type of an indicator. Today is a little bit sluggish, a little bit slower, but hey, I believe week 2 will see some more action.
But you have 2 networks that are behind the XFL now instead of just one. Because if you remember, in 2001 it was all on NBC, and then NBC pulled out because they didn't like the ratings. With ESPN, with ESPN and Fox Sports, which are 2 major networks for the NFL, you got a better outfit this time. I really think you do.
And don't forget, you got your Fox, you got your ESPN, and you also have your ABC. Similar to ESPN, but the same thing. You have 3 major networks versus 2001, you had NBC and UPN and Paramount Network. Yeah. And NBC wasn't ready at that time to really host something like that. That's why they probably pulled out. UPN, wasn't ready. Probably you don't really hear anything from that. I think they got bought out or something like that.
They did.
UPN
got bought out.
Yeah. So now you have 3 major networks that are putting time and emphasis on this thing. If you watch any Fox programming, particularly early in the morning, like if you watch First Things First, they will actually push these games on that show.
Yeah.
So that tells you that they are committed to it and want to see it succeed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do too. This is what I opened the show with. I do too. I want to see this succeed now. And I mentioned this at the top of the program. Oliver Luck being in charge is huge. Vince McMahon staying out of the day-to-day operations, and give kudos to Vince McMahon. He learned his lesson. And unlike the AAF, he took a full 2 years to put this together.
Yep.
He took a full 2 years to put this together. This is William Morgan joining me, talking all things XFL. Stand by, folks. He's going to be back later in the show to talk all things NBA All-Star Game, and I can't wait to bring him back because I got some questions for him. So if you'll hop on later in the show, I'll be glad to have you.
Gotcha, man.
Stand by, folks. I got more for you after this.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
He did what?
I did not need to be told that.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Hope you're enjoying it as we're enjoying bringing it to you. You know, I am a fan of podcasts. I record them, I produce them, and I listen to them, a lot of them. And this one got my attention, and you guys know that I've begun to recommend a lot of good podcasts for y'all to listen to. Well, this one not only involves sports, it also involves life. And when I listened to it, I knew, well, when I heard about it, I knew I had to listen to it. I listened to it. I became a subscriber immediately, and I'm going to recommend this even before we get this done. The lady that I have on the line is the author of said podcast, Combining Football and Life. And when you listen to this podcast, you're going to get a lot out of it, and I recommend you not only sign up for it, download it, I just recommend everything about it. This is Jennifer Garrett, and she joins me right now. How are you doing?
Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm doing great.
Okay, you got to tell me how you put this podcast together. What gave you the idea, and what gave you the inspiration to put it together?
Sure. So my podcast is called Move the Ball, and that name was taken from a book that I wrote 7 years ago. And the book was about how you could take football lessons specifically and apply them off the field to be successful in business and in life. And after the book was published, I spent the last 7 years really working with people on how to move the ball and really grow that brand. And I decided that I wanted to do the podcast because it was just another great way to connect with people, having great conversations with professional athletes of all sports, as well as business leaders, on how we can use the athlete mentality and put into practice success strategies and habits so that we can get ourselves to the next level.
You started the podcast the day after the Super Bowl. You really pumped it up, and I have to tell you, I really enjoy it. I know I'm going to enjoy it a lot. What got you into football? What got you started in liking football?
Great question. So I grew up in Chicago in the 80s. I just fell in love with the game. You know, ever since I was 4, I would watch football games with my parents, and what really intrigued me about the sport was not only the fast-paced nature of the game, but also there were these games where you would have these fourth-quarter comebacks where teams were down, 2, 3, 4 touchdowns, and the game wasn't over until the game clock hit 0. And so I just found that fascinating and studied the sport my entire life and applied lessons from the game into my own life.
That is great. So you grew up a fan of the Bears back in the 80s, huh? Because I too am from Chicago, and I've seen the Bears over many years. Are there any other teams that you follow aside of the Bears?
Professional or college or either?
Either one.
So I am an Alabama alum, so I very much follow the University of Alabama football team. We had a rough season here this past season, but they'll be back next year for sure.
So I could have you on the show, and all I have to say is roll tide, and off to the races we go. How about professional aside of the Bears? You follow anyone else?
There's a lot of teams that I like to watch. I think there's some great leaders who are great people both on and off the field. So it's not just the talent, but it's the character. Everyone talks about Tom Brady, right, and how great he was in New England. We'll see where he ends up going. Mm-hmm. But I do enjoy watching that team because of the leadership. There's a lot of people that don't like watching the.
Well, people have hated on my team because my original team in professional football was the 49ers, and because of a fellow named Joe Montana, who Tom Brady gets compared to all the time. So I completely understand, the hatred, but I draw the same comparison that people do with Tom Brady and the Patriots. It's because of the way that Montana led his team on the field and the way the organization is run. And a lot of that you can apply to what you do with your podcast, which is very motivational, and I absolutely love it. And the lessons that you bring, you can, like you said, you can apply it to life.
Yeah. So I say, I do like watching the Patriots. I mean, there's a lot of great teams. I do like Andy Reid. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Absolutely.
For winning the Super Bowl. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is just a class act. I enjoyed watching the game. Their organization. There's some NFC East teams that I like watching. The Eagles. I like watching the Cowboys. And so, I mean, I'm just a fan of the game, and I love watching good games. So I don't just sit down and watch the Bears play.
Absolutely wonderful. Talking with Jennifer Garrett. I love a phrase that I happened to catch when I was doing my research for this interview, and I love how you put this. Quote, "You are the quarterback. Your life is the game. Own it and move the ball." There's your purpose right there for your podcast. Who are some of the guests that you've taped episodes with or going to tape episodes with so far?
Sure. So the first 3 episodes were released just this past week. The first one was just a solo of me, but I had on the show already Chris Leak. Chris was the quarterback who led the Florida Gators to their national championship in the 2006 season. So he was right before Tim Tebow. Tebow was a freshman when Chris was a senior, taking that team to their championship. Also, I had on Terrence Wood, who is the grandson of Pro Football Hall of Famer Willie Wood, who played for the Packers in the 1960s. Some other guests that I've recorded with already, Paul Pratt. Paul played with the Detroit Lions, and he's got a great organization called Second Wind Mentors, where he mentors young boys of single-parent homes currently. So we had a great episode. Another gentleman, Tony Simmons. Tony played on the Patriots. He played on a number of teams. He was nicknamed Touchdown Tony, played at Wisconsin for college ball. Some future guests that are coming up as well. Eric Dungy, who is the son of Tony Dungy. We're going to be recording an episode here in a couple of weeks. But it's not just football athletes. So I've also got a pro skateboarder, Mikey Taylor, who I recorded a show with. His episode will come out early March. Also Rob Murray. Rob played in the National Hockey League and the American Hockey League for many years. He's currently coaching the Tulsa Oilers, which is a minor league hockey team. So my goal is really a good cross-section of athletes from all sports.
Absolutely wonderful. Again, this is Jennifer Garrett. You can find her podcast on anywhere where you listen to. It's called Move the Ball. It's the Move the Ball podcast, and it's absolutely wonderful. Tell everybody where they can find you, my dear.
Yeah, so the easiest way, it's going to be on all the platforms, or it is on all the platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. But if you just go to movetheballpodcast.com, you can listen to it directly there, and there are links to all of those other podcasting platforms.
Jennifer Garrett joining me here on the program to talk Move the Ball and how she uses football to move the ball in life, and you can do the same thing. Absolutely great having you on. I got to have you on again soon.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate being on the show today.
We got more coming up in a smidge.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
Hadouken!
Where true sports talk lives.
He did what?
I did not need to be told that.
All right, folks, welcome back to the program as we continue to bring you through the week, and we are at the end of the week. But something happened yesterday in the NBA we like to call the trade deadline. And it was, to say the least, interesting. To help me break this down, I want to welcome the host of the Playmakers blog podcast stream. You can hear the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, as well as others. Please help me welcome Darnell Solins. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Good to be on your show, man. You been in the game.
It's good to have you on, my friend. I gotta begin with this. What the hell were the Detroit Pistons thinking?
I have no idea, to be honest. I didn't even know Andre Drummond was up to be traded. So,
as much as you and I both have watched basketball over the years, there are some moves that are, and this applies in any sport, and my engineer and my co-executive producer, who is also my wife, is just laughing at how I brought this. In any sport, there are trades where you say, okay, that makes sense. And if I may borrow from my lovely wife, there are just trades where you just shake your head and go, the hell? This is one of them.
Look, I knew there was talks about the Lakers possibly getting Derrick Rose.
Yep.
And that didn't happen, obviously. So when Drummond comes out of nowhere, I'm like, and then he go to Cleveland out of all places. Why did you send him to Cleveland? They ain't no better.
Why would you send him to a place that's going to be a cesspool for a long time since you know who left?
Look, I still can't wrap my head around this. Like, you can't get rid of Kevin Love. Now you can add Andre Drummond to the cap too. Like, what are y'all doing, Cleveland? What are y'all doing?
Didn't Andre Drummond earn an extension recently?
Yes. I think it was about 2 years ago.
Then why are they getting rid of him? It's not like they're trying to stockpile draft picks because they failed in the draft for the past 5 years.
Look, the only reason why Detroit and Cleveland are not at the bottom because there's a team in New York.
Yes. Two of them if Brooklyn doesn't get their act together.
Man, I don't. Look, Andre Drummond, he's in a new scenery, so we'll see how that goes with him, Kevin Love.
He's not staying in Cleveland. I wouldn't stay in Cleveland.
Kevin Love don't want to be in Cleveland.
He doesn't have a choice. Therein lies the problem. He doesn't have a choice right now.
It is what it is.
Now, as we move on from that monstrosity of a deal, and that's the only word I can come up with, the Lakers, and I must go in on the Lakers, they've had chances over the past year to get players that will actually fit with LeBron. One of them should have been Andre Iguodala. Andre Iguodala took a look at that culture and said, no, thank you. Or, again, invoking my wife, as she would say, Andre Iguodala took a look at that culture and said, nope, I'm done. And he is with Miami, and I think Miami has now emerged as a front runner in the East. But I look at this as more of an indictment against the Lakers for not getting the correct piece that they needed.
That I won't say is an indictment on the Lakers. What I will say is this: they didn't trade for Derrick Rose.
No,
that's one. And then before the trade deadline ended, Marcus Morris is with the Clippers and not the Lakers.
I saw that. What is wrong with the Lakers, man? Why can't they? It's not the fact that they're not trying to get pieces to the puzzle. I understand that they are. They're just not getting the correct ones.
You know why? Because that deal that they made to get Anthony Davis is holding them up.
It wiped them out. It wiped them out.
Nobody is saying you don't make that deal because it's right. Anthony Davis.
Absolutely
but
right.
You see the consequences with that deal now.
Mm-hmm. And they're going to lose Kuzma later this year. I'm banking on that. They're going to lose Kuzma. Here's a scenario for you. What if Kuzma winds up going to the other locker room in the Clippers the same way Ivica Zubac did last year? Oops.
It's out there. Matter of fact, the reason why they didn't get more is because the Knicks wanted Kuzma. Matter of fact, all the trade parties that the Lakers talked about, they wanted Kuzma, and the Lakers weren't giving up. And they weren't giving up. They weren't going to give up Kuzma.
But Kuzma's languishing right now. He's not. I hate to say this to Laker fans that I know, but Kyle Kuzma is languishing on the Laker bench. He's being held out of the offense. Am I saying it wrong? Did I miss something? No, that's all very vocal. He need to find something to put Kuzma in, because if they gonna make this run, because let's discuss the elephant in the room here. Yeah, the big old elephant in the room.
Everybody knows the tragedy that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
When you have Damian Lillard going up the way he did and breaking entire records with Kobe Bryant, when you have Doc Rivers saying they doing this for Kobe,
mm-hmm.
LeBron, Anthony Davis, Lakers, y'all got to rise up. And they know this.
But why haven't they? Why haven't they? I'm putting all the questions out there. When you agreed to come on my show, I warned you, and you laughed in delight, saying I was putting all the questions out there. I am putting all the questions out there. I am putting all the questions out there.
Right now, they still trying to find their way. I'm pretty much where I see the Lakers. They still trying to find the right piece, the right rotation to go with.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not a bad thing, because you're not at the end of the season. You at the mid part of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have time to figure it out. But why? Because right now they like 5-6 games ahead of the Clippers, so they in first place. So.
But here's the problem. When they play teams that are inferior to them, they feast. When they play teams that are superior as them, it's a famine. And recently, a week ago, the Portland Trail Blazers proved it. Right after a tragedy, mind you.
Yep. So what Frank Vogel has to do is use this time wisely. All-Star Weekend is about to come up.
Mm-hmm.
You probably got like 2-3 more games left before you hit the All-Star break. Do some thinking. Look at your lineup. Figure what pieces go well. And because once the All-Star Weekend is over,
the stretch
I'm
run
telling you right, we already know LeBron's going to pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what he usually does.
Mm-hmm.
Will everybody else pick it up with him? That's the question.
That's a big question. And will Anthony Davis actually stay healthy? Because there's a stat that I've thrown out there, which is absolutely true, and people have researched it and have come back to me and they said, Snowman, you weren't kidding. The stat is this. Since Anthony Davis has come into the league, he has not played a full season yet.
He hasn't. I don't even have to research that. I already know that. I I knew that. I knew that.
He hasn't played but see, you know, there are folks out there, and you've talked basketball with a lot of people just as I have. There are folks out there that will challenge you and say, "Oh, that's not true," but until they go look it up. This is something I do. No, I know. That's why I asked you on this. That's why I asked you on this program, and I figured we'd have a ball talking hoops. Because unlike other shows, I actually like to be real and present facts along with my opinion, and then back up everything with said facts.
Well, I know this. Whenever the Clippers get fully healthy,
oh, that's trouble. That's trouble waiting to happen.
Not just the Lakers, the West.
The West is in trouble. The West is in trouble. If the Clippers get fully healthy, which I have a feeling they're going to be, the Western Conference is in trouble. And to a point, the NBA may be in trouble. Here's another question. Since we're talking trades, when I ask what the hell were the Detroit Pistons thinking, I have this backup question. What the hell were the Houston Rockets thinking, since we're in the West? Why are you trading a center?
We go see, because what I want to believe that they're doing is that, because you got James Harden, you got Russell Westbrook.
Yep.
You got the guys that wants to get up and down the court, full speed, no stop.
Right.
So what I want to believe that Mike D'Antoni and the Rockets are doing is, all right, we know we want to run up and down the court.
Yeah.
Let us go small ball. Let us do it for a full game. Wear the other team out and have James Harden finish it off.
Here's the problem. They've tried that for 6 years. And 4 out of the last 5, they've run into the team that perfected small ball with a big man. And, of course, I'm talking about the Golden State Warriors. And each time Houston has gone up against them, they got beat.
I'm glad you said that, because I want to get this off my chest.
Go for it.
Because everybody, because I know how people think.
Mm-hmm.
James Harden is this, James Harden is that. I don't care what he does in the regular season.
It's the playoffs where you worry.
He can be the leading scorer for the regular season for the rest of his career. I don't care. When you don't have key players playing for San Antonio, you can't get drug at home to close out the series.
114-77 was that final score, and that was Game 6, 2017.
KD ain't playing. Steph ain't playing. I don't even think Klay Thompson played. You still get drug at home to close out the series in Game 7, and you can 5-3 to save your life in your own building.
You know what? The Splash Brothers are inactive for this season. The Rockets go to San Francisco to play the Golden State Warriors. They're up by as many as 12, and they lose by 12. I've been following the Warriors now since 2007 as one of the 3 teams I cover for my site, Arena Sportsnet, and I can't even explain that one.
So they're gonna try it again, because Mike D'Antoni. He's one of those coaches that he's in his own way.
And he's been his. You know what the biggest mistake? And I want to get your thought on this. I've said this to many a Houston Rocket fan, and the real Houston Rocket fans believe every word of this sentence. The biggest mistake the Houston Rockets have made in recent times was firing Kevin McHale.
Oh. I want to say fire Kevin McHale. It's hiring Mike D'Antoni afterwards.
Well, that one too. Well, both of them then. Both are big mistakes. You replace Kevin McHale with Mike D'Antoni, a guy who doesn't preach defense at all? What is wrong with this picture?
You know how Stephen A. say you should take the D out of his name to be Mike D'Antoni, because he don't coach no defense.
This is true. This is so true. Talking with the playmaker Darnell Salinas, talking NBA trades and NBA in general. And let me get your thoughts on this. I took a look at the All-Star Game rules for this year, which is happening in my hometown of Chicago. I looked at the rules on how they want to honor Kobe Bryant, and I looked at the way they're going to honor Kobe Bryant. I understand putting $100,000 on the line at the end of the quarter. If your team wins the quarter, you give it to your favorite charity. Why are you going to reset the score at the start of the second and the third quarters, and then you take the cumulative score at the start of the fourth quarter? Wouldn't that be just run? Wouldn't be that just keep a running score anyway? Isn't that what they do anyway? Why are you resetting? Why are you resetting the score at the end of each quarter? Why is that?
So, at the end of each quarter, whoever wins the quarter, I can't think of the amount. Whoever wins the quarter, that a certain amount goes to
their favorite charity,
the charity of their choice.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
that's my only reason I can actually logically think of why they doing this. Because everything else is like, I'm not.
But here's the kicker. Here's the kicker.
I watched the inside of NBA with Kenny, Earl Johnson, Kenny Smith, Charles Barkley, and Shaq.
Yeah.
EJ was explaining to him, and all three was looking like,
what?
Why?
Look, I just got a buzz in my ear. My wife just looked and went, huh? What? She said, again, invoking her. The hell?
Look, they could have kept the rules the same.
Yeah,
you already got team LeBron ran 2 for Kobe's daughter, and you got Giannis team 1-24.
You can keep it at that and just keep the running score. Why are you resetting the score after every quarter? What?
Not only that, when you get to the fourth quarter, whoever gets to the set number when they add the number 24 to whoever has the highest number wins the game.
What are they playing?
In this day and age,
what are they playing?
You know
street
how easy
now?
to get there.
What are they playing? Street ball now? It's the fourth quarter. Here's another kicker. It's an untimed quarter. So the first 3 quarters you're playing 12 minutes, and then you play an untimed quarter. What?
Oh, you have to. You have to play an untimed quarter. That's the goal is to get to whatever the target score is. You can get that if that's about shooting threes, and the league is known for shooting threes now.
But again, to invoke Stone Cold Steve Austin, what?
I mean, I give them this though. I'll give them this. At least they trying different ways to make it better. This one doesn't work, but at least they trying. They trying to be innovative.
I repeat
but
my
this
question.
One
what?
No.
I don't. Yeah.
So I mean, it's funny that you brought that up because I got the team too because they actually did their drafts, on TNT before Giannis had to play the 76ers and the Rockets played the Lakers. So they had Giannis and LeBron take their team.
Can we just make it East and West again? Make it easier? You want to bring the fans back? Bring the East and West jerseys back.
See, the problem with that was we went through almost a whole decade knowing that the West was going to kill the East.
But that's an indictment against the Eastern Conference, I would think. Or am I just being too logical for my own good?
People nowadays, they don't want to watch something they know it's going to be a beatdown. It's the East versus the West. Oh, Lord, they got LeBron, they got Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Damian Lillard. Also, who does the East got? Giannis. Yeah, okay. Joel Embiid, he can't stay healthy.
Ben Simmons can't hit a jump shot.
We ain't gonna say can't hit a jump shot. He won't take one. Which is I don't know how many people don't say this, and it's like he don't get it.
I've said it on.
If you get a 15-foot jump shot, you know how dangerous Philly would be.
If he gets a jump shot, 15 feet, 18 feet, 20 feet, 5 feet, if he gets a jump shot, I've said this on my show since he's been in the league. I've handed out the same indictment against Giannis that I hand out against Ben Simmons. Neither one can't shoot. Giannis has changed that for me. He has changed my opinion this year. Now, the only thing missing with Giannis is consistency in hitting that jump shot. Because if he had a jump shot last year against Toronto, it wouldn't have been a contest. But Ben Simmons can't shoot.
You see, they struggling now. All of a sudden, here come Miami.
Well, look who they picked up. They picked up Andre Iguodala.
Even before they picked them up, we was looking like, where did Miami come from?
Mm-hmm. Not only Miami, you got Indiana to worry about. I'm not worried about Philadelphia. You got Boston to worry about. You got Toronto to worry about. Milwaukee, Miami, and Indiana. That's it. I'm not worried about Philadelphia. I'm not worried about Philadelphia because they're playing. You know what, Darnell? They're playing inverted. Ben Simmons can't hit an outside shot. Joel Embiid is taking too many outside shots.
Joel Embiid need to be in shape. I need Joel. You know what? I need Joel Embiid on the All-Star to get with Hakeem Olajuwon.
Thank you.
On the real.
How about a combination? How about Hakeem Olajuwon, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and David Robinson? How about that combination?
I even throw Shaq in there.
I'll throw Shaq in there. You can throw Shaq in there. Four of the greatest to ever do it.
Dominant big man.
Four of the greatest to ever do
dominant.
it. Yes. You get four of the greatest to ever do it, and you. I'll tell you what, folks. I'll take you back to 1993. Shaquille O'Neal was in a commercial that involved Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Bill Russell, and Wilt Chamberlain. And I remember Abdul-Jabbar saying that's not enough. I mean, Shaquille broke a backboard, and, Abdul-Jabbar said it's not enough, and he handed him a broom and a dustpan. And it got in Shaq's head. Well, that was the idea for them to get in his head, saying it's not enough. Joel Embiid has great talent. It's not enough. Joel Embiid is built physically. It's not enough. It's not enough. And Embiid hasn't gotten the message yet.
You got Bam Adebayo out here outdoing you.
He had Pascal Siakam working him last spring.
I know people out there saying, why y'all keep going about it? Because, Bam Adebayo, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn, Hero.
Yep.
These dudes here are young, and they are hungry along with Jimmy Butler.
And they're out working them.
And we sitting here looking at Philly, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons looking like,
what?
When are y'all going to pick it up?
And I believe that a failure a playoff exit shy of the Eastern Conference Finals will cost Brent Brown his job. I'm inclined to believe that.
Brent Brown, I expected more from Brent Brown because
did I touch a nerve?
For those who don't know, no.
I'm just making sure.
I gotta do this. I'm a Magic fan first and foremost.
Okay.
I'm an Orlando Magic fan.
Okay.
But there's teams that I look at and I respect them so much.
Mm-hmm.
Brett Brown has come from under the San Antonio organization.
Yes.
From Greg Popovich.
Mm-hmm. One of the greatest to ever coach in our time. And Brent Brown is failing miserably in Philadelphia. And people are going to say to me, how can you say that? He's taking his team to the playoffs. Yeah, here's the problem. They were expected to win.
They're in the East.
There's your indictment right there.
Besides Milwaukee.
There's your indictment right there.
Boston.
You just said it. They're in the East. There's your indictment right there. There's your indictment right there. And they can't win.
Even though San Antonio is not having a great season, look what Greg Popovich is doing with this team. This team is still fighting for a playoff spot right now.
Yeah, there's the again. They're in the East. Philadelphia's in the East. Brett Brown is from the Greg Popovich tree. There are 2 indictments right there against the Philadelphia 76ers.
There's so many indictments against them, I can't even count them all.
I leave you with this. I'm going to put a rumor out there that someone beat me to, but I see happening. The Golden State Warriors traded 3 players to free up cap space to sign Karl Anthony Towns this summer.
Oh, look here. I ain't putting nothing past Cat. with word going around, he has tied the stretch of losing as a first-round draft pick. I ain't putting nothing past Cat now because Cat is not happy.
He'll be happy in San Francisco.
Cat around here putting up every number he can.
And
they still ain't winning.
It'll be Kevin Durant to the Warriors round 2. Only this time, instead of Kevin Durant, you got Karl Anthony Towns. Can you imagine Karl Anthony Towns in that system with those coaches?
Man, look. They traded D'Angelo Russell. I'm like, yo, okay, I see.
I've been trying to warn people.
Minnesota a little bit.
I've been trying to warn people. I have been trying to warn people. I would not be surprised if that deal goes down this summer. Got to let you go, but I want to thank the playmaker, Darnell Salinas, for joining me. Tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
You can find me on Anchor. You can find me on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. I'm doing some of that stuff. And we also are part of RTS Sports Network.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Catch us on Facebook.
Yep.
Twitter. All that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to have you on weekly to talk some NBA with me. I really appreciate the time, my friend. Thank you.
No problem. Have fun.
I got more for you after the break.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
He did what? I did not need to be told that.
Welcome back to the program. This is hour number 2. Thank you to Damian Adams, who I had on the show once before. I'm going to have him on next week. And don't forget to follow all of the programming put on by yours truly by giving a follow to SNW Digital Media. That's SNW Digital Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, and Pinterest. Every once in a while I'm busy going about my day, something comes across my screen, something comes across my desk that friends will send me. One friend in particular, and I've sent some things to him and told him to go for it. Well, the friend is Cole Johnson, and he sent me something with the message, throwing the lob on the fast break. Send it in like Shaq, my man. Now, anyone who knows me knows I love Shaquille O'Neal. Loved him as a player. He's an absolute goofball. Love that big man. Especially love the way he played center. I read the caption, which says, "The Warriors Dynasty was fraudulent. It was all because of KD." Well, that got my spider senses going right then and there. And then I listened to the clip. This is courtesy, and I'm going to let you all hear a few seconds of it before I provide a response. This is courtesy of Undisputed on FS1. And the fellow who was making the comment is a friend of mine, Rob Parker, part of The Odd Couple, one of the shows I actually like. Rob Parker said this.
Read my lips. The Warriors dynasty, whatever you want to call it, has been officially eliminated once Kevin Durant left. It's not happening. I do not see the Warriors winning anything anytime soon. And it has nothing to do. You can talk about adding all the players, about the lottery picks and Wiggins. It's about Steph and Clay. It's about those guys.
Whatever?
Yeah, well, whatever you want to call it. That whole dynasty that everybody talks about is totally fraudulent.
Oh, God.
The only reason they had
a dynasty?
No, the only reason they had a dynasty is because KD joined the team. Steph, Clay, and Draymond Green, they won one championship. That was without Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. That's the one that they won. Iguodala was the MVP, not Steph, not Clay. Hold on. And then they played Cleveland. And with a first team, that was the 73 and 9 team.
73 games.
That's right,
wow.
regular season. Good. But they choked down the NBA Finals. The first team in the history of the NBA to choke down a 3-1 lead. They lost 2 of the 3 games at home. Yeah. They lost 3 games in a row. They hadn't lost 3 games in a row all year. It's a fraudulent dynasty. Unless Kevin Durant's coming back, they're not winning again. Stop the romanticizing of Steph and Clay. Let me give you Steph's. You ready? Listen.
Well, to say the least, Rob Parker's cool, okay? I had him on my show. But when I heard that, and y'all know I'm a Golden State Warrior fan, that pissed me off. And it leads to this.
It's time to go!
Let's go in, shall we? The Warriors dynasty was fraudulent, according to Rob Parker. The Warriors dynasty was because of KD, according to Rob Parker. Mr. Parker, I guess you didn't realize that Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson and Draymond Green were drafted by the Warriors in the process of their rebuild from 2009 to 2012. I guess you don't realize that Steph and Klay and Draymond are their core players. I guess you don't realize that it wasn't the Warriors who made the call for KD to come to them. It was KD who made the call to the Warriors. I guess you don't realize that the Golden State Warriors have something LeBron's never had in 17 years. It's called a winning culture. I guess you don't realize that Stephen Curry, the current Warrior, be injured as he may be, was a unanimous most valuable player and the only one in history to this juncture. I guess you don't realize that Stephen Clay knocked down 402 threes. I guess you don't realize that the Cleveland Cavaliers, to borrow from Stephen A. Smith, were granted an enormous stimulus package in 2016. I guess you don't realize that the NBA has had it in for the Golden State Warriors. Okay, I'm going a little far. I guess you don't realize that the Cleveland Cavaliers were granted a stimulus package all the way from heaven in 2016. Everybody wants to say, oh, the Cavaliers erased a 3-1 deficit. They had help. Don't you realize that? They had help. They had help from the NBA. They had help from LeBron James, who engineered the whole damn thing by dry snitching on Draymond Green for kicking him in the you-know-where when it was an accidental kick in the first place, and second, LeBron tried to walk over him. If you want to follow the letter to the law, then the finals appearance in 2016 should not have happened, because if you follow the letter of the law, according to the NBA, Draymond Green should have been suspended in the Western Conference Finals, not the NBA World Championship Series. And I laid it out as a conspiracy theory that because of that stimulus package, that's why Cleveland was able to get back in the series, because if Draymond Green plays in Game 5 of that World Championship Series, it's a walk-off. It's a 5-game conquest. It's a 5-game wipeout. Because every game in that series because every game up to that juncture, the first 4 games were decided by double digits. The first 2 were wipeouts in Oakland. Cleveland wiped out the Warriors by 30 points in Game 3. And then the Warriors won by 11 in Game 4, 108-97. Matter of fact, the first 6 games were decided by double digits in that 2016 World Championship Series. I guess you don't realize, Mr. Parker, that in order for the Warriors to get back to the World Championship Series, they had to erase a 3-1 deficit of their own. And that was against the Oklahoma City Thunder, who had Kevin Durant at the time. If there was any kind of dynasty, it should have been formed in Oklahoma City. And to be more to the point, it should have been formed in Seattle. I have said it on this program, and I will continue to say it for as long as I'm alive. The Oklahoma City Thunder should not exist. It should still be the Seattle Supersonics, because the Seattle Supersonics had a 41-year history unfairly taken away from them by Clay Bennett and David Stern. Rest in peace, David Stern. I love you, but for that I don't. The Seattle Supersonics should still be in operation. David Stern could have forked over the money needed to get a new arena in Seattle and place it anywhere he wanted to. He had the cash. It should not have even gotten political. It should not have even gone to that point. If you want a dynasty, it should have started in Seattle. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, all that should have been in Seattle, not Oklahoma City. Can you imagine the rivalry the Seattle Supersonics and the Golden State Warriors would have had? It would have been a rivalry that would have been groundbreaking. Beyond groundbreaking. I mean, who expected the Golden State Warriors to come out of nowhere, Mr. Parker? And I guess you forgot the fact that the Golden State Warriors came out of nowhere, Mr. Parker, after losing a 7-game series against the Los Angeles Clippers in the first round in 2014, Mr. Parker, to rise to power, win 67 games, and win the World Championship on the Cavaliers' floor. Yeah. I guess you forgot all of that. I guess you forgot those facts. I guess you forgot the fact that the biggest rival, aside of the Cleveland Cavaliers, to this Warriors dynasty was the Houston Rockets. The Rockets had 4 shots at the Warriors. 4 of them. 4 shots at the Warriors, and they failed each and every time. A 5-game conquest in the Western Conference Finals in 2016, a 2015, I beg your pardon, a 5-game win in the first round in 2016, a 7-game win in the Western Conference Finals in 2018, and a 6-game conquest in the Western Conference semifinals in 2019. And oh, by the way, Stephen Curry went off for 33 points in the second half of Game 6, the walk-off victory in Houston, Texas. But I guess you forgot all of that, didn't you, Mr. Parker? Mr. Parker, allow me to remind you that this dynasty is still in motion. This is an off year. Dynasties have had off years. Ask the Boston Celtics. Ask the Los Angeles Lakers, who lost to Houston in 5 games in 1986. Did anyone call that dynasty over? No. The Boston Celtics had an 8-year run as world champions, and then they lost. Did anybody call their dynasty over? No. They're still regarded as one because of the number of championships they have won, the number of championships the Los Angeles Lakers have won, 17 and 16 if you're counting, and this Golden State Warriors team is still young. They still have the best ownership group in the business. They still have the best set of players in the league. It's not LeBron's league. It's not Russell's league. It's not Russell Westbrook. It's not James Harden's league. No, this league in current time belongs to the Splash Brothers. And as big of a decision as Kevin Durant made to join the Golden State Warriors, he made the decision to leave them. Oh, by the way, Mr. Parker, have you figured out the fact that Kevin Durant's not playing this year, or the possible fact that Kevin Durant may not play next year because of a serious injury? Or have you forgotten the fact that injury happened because he was giving himself to the Golden State Warriors? The Kevin Durant move to Golden State enhanced them. The same way that Dennis Rodman going to Chicago enhanced the Bulls. The same way that James Worthy, a draft pick, mind the way, enhanced the Lakers. The same way that Bill Walton, who was drafted by the Portland Trailblazers enhanced the Boston Celtics in 1986. The same way, my friend, that having Sean Elliott return to the San Antonio Spurs after a stint with the Detroit Pistons enhanced the San Antonio Spurs in their dynastic run. And oh, by the way, have you figured out the fact that the Spurs never put 3 consecutive championships together, and yet they are called a dynasty for their run? Have you ever figured out the fact that the Lakers, who have three-peated on a couple of occasions, didn't have their dynasty called dead or fraudulent because of some of the players they had in their organization, nor have the Spurs, the Bulls, the Celtics, or anybody else that had a long run of championship excellence. In other words, what I'm saying to you, my friend, is that championship excellence depends on the parts of a team. You understand that? As much as of a LeBron hater that you are, and I give you credit for that, you have to remember, you can't hate Steph and the Warriors, you can't hate Steph and Clay, you can't hate the Splash Brothers because they are part of a team. Just as Tim Duncan and David Robinson were, just as Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen were, just as Magic Johnson, Abdul-Jabbar, and James Worthy were, just as Larry Bird, Kevin McHale, and Robert Parrish were. And oh, by the way, there was a trade that the Boston Celtics made in 1984 that brought them the final piece to their championship puzzle after being swept the year before by the Milwaukee Bucks. That piece's name was Dennis Johnson. He was traded to them courtesy of the Phoenix Suns. But I guess you forgot all of that, did you, Mr. Parker? Now, that's me.
Go!
I gotta take a break after all of that. Transition Tuesday from last week will be next, and then a couple of very special guests, including William Morgan. I got to get a drink. Back in a flash.
This is Snowman in the Morning, where true sports talk lives.
He did what? I did not need to be told that.
So I had the pleasure recently of being on a wonderful show called Black in Business. And I figure with this being Black History Month, I'm going to return the favor. On the hotline with me is one of the fellows who's in charge of said podcast. This is Andre Day, and he joins me right now. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic, my brother. How are you?
I am doing great. First of all, let me say thank you from the bottom of my heart for letting me come on to your podcast and spreading some knowledge and spreading some love for the other podcasters, the other independent show hosts that do this just like we do. I can't thank you enough for that.
Man, listen, I tell you, I can't thank you enough for being on the show, because you gave more than what I even thought was going to be given. Like, I thought it was going to be like, regular run of the mill, and then we end by spreading love and showing love to brothers and almost putting us to tears, man. So I thank you a whole bunch for that. Thank you for being on the show.
That was one of the things I really wanted to touch on, and it's something, my wife tells me all the time. She says, maybe that can be part of your message, as well as you having fun doing your sports show. Maybe you can drive that point home. And this is the point that I've driven home, for the time that she and I have been together and for a while now. There is not enough help out there in many ways for men. Let's take color out of the equation. There's not enough help out there for men who need to get back on their feet, who desire to get back on their feet, and for those who want to stay on their feet. That's why I love talking about that particular message, and I'm glad you helped me spread that message when I was on your show.
Yeah, I definitely agree. One of the things, and also one of the reasons that caused me to start the show was I wanted to spread a message not only for African Americans, but also just for the wider generation in general. A lot of individuals my age, both male and female, I don't believe they have the same drive that people before us had. And then also with that, a lot of people don't get, like you said, enough assistance to start. And I believe it starts from, like, when we grow up, where we're taught certain things and then just kind of let go, and then just thought like, oh, you're an adult, you can do it. But you get a totally different, you get like a totally different viewpoint of what adulthood is. And then when you kind of reach back out for help, there's nobody there to help you. So, spreading love and showing love to men is something that we need to do every day. Like, every moment of every day you have, say I love you to a man. It'll help out a whole lot.
And this is what a lot of men don't get. Well, a lot of men get it, but they don't voice it aloud. And I was guilty of such. I said I love you to my dad and my granddad and my uncles every day that they were here. They've all passed on now. But I don't mind one bit saying I love you to a man who is very close to me. There are some broadcasters who I say it to, and I say it live on this show. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. In fact, it's a wonderful thing to communicate that, for men to communicate that to each other without having this 2PC world misconstrue why we're saying that to each other. It needs to be said a lot more often.
Yeah. And I think also it needs to be said in a way where when you say it with confidence. I feel like if I say it to you, I'm only going to say it when it's only you and I. Like, certain people don't want other people to know that I said I love you. But it shouldn't be that way. Just as well as it doesn't matter if you show affection and love to your wife. People don't want to see that, but you don't care because it's between you and your wife. So I think the same thing should be from man to a man. Like, if I love you, I don't have a problem with giving you a hug, showing you affection, saying I love you, say I appreciate you, taking care of you, things of that nature. And it really doesn't matter what other people say or how they look at me or what they may think, because it's not for them to, like, it's not for them. It's for me and you. So as long as you and I have the understanding, I can honestly care less about what other people think.
And that's
really where I think a lot of people don't show it, is because they believe or think, oh, I don't want this person to think differently of me or what this person might say. And it really is affecting you more than what you may know.
It really is. It really does affect the person that, thinks aloud and thinks constantly about what other people think. I've had to learn from other people, my wife included, and my daughter and my son included. You can't think about what people say or think about you. That's just going to affect you. Do I have my days where I slip back into that? Absolutely. And I say that I say that aloud, and I say that with conviction because I'm still learning a lot from my wife and her family, and I'm learning a lot about myself at the same time. Being on your show where I was allowed to express what I felt, and not just in the sports world, but just in life, that meant a lot to me. I can't thank you and your partner enough for allowing that to happen and allowing that message to be spread. That needs to be spread more often. So if men can communicate like that, do you know how different this country, let alone this world, will be?
I think people are afraid of what might happen. When I grew up, I saw a lot of things in person and a lot of things that are on TV that don't really show men loving each other. So adults now that are in my age bracket, late 20s, early to mid 30s, don't have that I love you type of mentality. So what happens in turn is that you have an issue, you deal with it by yourself, and then when you don't know how to get the results you need to make a better outcome for yourself, you start lashing out and doing things that you normally wouldn't do. So to answer your question, if we express love to one another more often, I think we would have, number one, happier individuals. And number two, we would be able to think more clearly and start doing things that would help us with a better life instead of putting us where we are in that mentality of crabs in a barrel, trying to keep everybody down. We would want to see everybody move up. So I think it would have an effect that I don't think the world is ready for on the African American side. Like if we really put our minds together and stick to one another, I think we can be, actually I know we can be a force to be reckoned with.
Where did you grow up? Let's find out more about Andre. Where did you grow up?
Well, I grew up in New York. I'm originally from Brooklyn. Both my parents are from New York. I lived in New York for about 7 or 8 years or so, maybe a little bit longer than that. And then I moved to New Jersey for about a year or two. And after New Jersey, I moved to Maryland. And I've been here in the Maryland, D.C. area since, let's say, 9th grade or so.
Wow.
9th or 10th grade. Yeah.
Wow. So you're originally from New York. I can hear that accent come out. Where's your sports loyalties lie? Which teams get you at the heart?
Well, I am a football fan, so my first team at heart would be the Giants.
Good man.
I also like to see the Jets every once in a while, just because they're also New York. I don't really watch a lot of baseball, but it does feel nice and feel good to see the Yankees do something well.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, I would say basketball. I was into the Celtics, but after they dismantled the Kevin Garnett and the Paul Pierce and Ray Allen, I kind of spread away from the Celtics. Right now, I'm just kind of open. I like kind of any basketball team as long as it's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really watch a lot of hockey, but people tell me I need to get into it because it's a really good and interesting sport. And that's really about it for sports.
Now, I'm going to tease you because I do have love for the New York Football Giants. I loved it back in the day when Bill Parcells and Bill Walsh would hook up and go at it, be it at the old Giant Stadium or at old Candlestick Park. You're not into basketball that much?
Not like I used to, no. Like I said, I used to be a Celtics fan, but once they dismantled that amazing team, I just kind of, I went away.
Good. Then I can say Michael Jordan and get away with it.
I mean, hey, listen. Even though you don't watch basketball, you know who Michael Jordan is.
Yes,
like,
thank you.
He was on the Wheaties box. He was on every magazine. I mean,
he was all over the place.
Any country, you walk into any country and say MJ, there's only one person that. I mean, they might do Michael Jackson, but only those two have MJ. There's no other MJs that are prominent in everybody's mind. So, yeah, you're fine with Michael Jordan. That's cool.
So true. And I've spoken to a couple of hardcore Knicks fans, and I kid them a lot. And I said, well, I guess I can't say Michael Jordan, and they start growling at me. But then we all start laughing at it. But I love having conversations like this during the show that gives people the other side of the shows and the podcasts that I do. So that's why I wanted to bring you on, and you got to tell me how did you get your podcast started?
Well, in a previous job I had, I was just kind of sitting in the office, and it was a Friday afternoon, I believe. And I'm just sitting there pondering, like, what else can I do besides work every day, same job, Monday through Friday, and sometimes on Saturday, and just go home. Like, there has to be something else I can do. So I started just thinking, like, I'm not really putting my business degree into play, because this job that I had at that time, really anybody can do. And I really wasn't doing much of a side hustle per se. So my supervisor at the time walked through the door, and as soon as he walked through the door, a light bulb came into my head, and I was like, ooh, I can do something that promotes small businesses, but how can I do it? So, I sleep on it, I think about it for a couple of days, and I go, well, I can do a podcast. Well, how do I do one? I did my research, and once I found out that you can literally start a podcast for free, it was a no-brainer after that. All the thing I needed was people to have on the show. As long as you have an email address and a place to host your podcast, it's essentially free. You don't have to buy anything. You can do it from your phone. You can do it from your laptop. I think the only thing that you may need to buy if you want to get fancy is a microphone. Yeah. But everything else is essentially free. So once I got that idea, I just started reaching out to people and letting them know, like, hey, I want to start a podcast and, promote small business owners and kind of discuss with them how they started and, what they do to keep themselves going and things of that nature. And, I got a few people to say, hey, yeah, no problem. I'll be on your show. And I was kind of taken back, like, oh, really? You want to be on my show? So, okay. Like, I was kind of nervous at that point. But then I said, this is what I wanted to do. And I did it. So it just kind of went from there.
Well, I am very proud of you. I am very proud to have been a guest on your podcast. You and I share a mutual friend, Stephen Askins of the Inside Inside Football Blitz. He was on your program, and he was the guy that led me to you and led me to your podcast. So I am very, very proud to be a guest on your podcast. I'm proud to have you on this show. And tell everybody where they can find you, my friend.
Oh, so they can find me. I would say the easiest way is to, you can email us at blackandbusinesspodcast@gmail.com. They can find us on Facebook, which is Black in Business Podcast. It can also be found on Instagram, which is Black_in_business. And we're located at on Apple, iTunes, Google Podcast. We're on, what is that other one? Spotify. And I believe those are the three major ones. I mean, we're on some other smaller ones I can't think of right now, but those are the three major ones at this point.
Hey, folks, check out the Black in Business podcast. I was a guest on it. If you know someone that has a small business, and this is Black History Month, if you know someone that has a small business and they want to get featured, this is the guy you contact. This is the podcast that you're on, and you get featured on this show as well. Andre Day, one half of the Black in Business podcast, joining me here on the program. I can't thank you enough. And I recommend to the folks again, I recommend to the community, please go check out the Black in Business podcast. Thank you for your time, my friend. I can't wait to have you back on.
I appreciate it. And before I go, I just want to give a shout out to my co-host, Bearded Wonder. Once you guys listen to the show, you'll see why he's such an awesome person. And I'm glad to have him as a co-host, and I can't wait to just continue to bring you guys more episodes.
Absolutely. One day I'm going to get you both on the program so we can really have some fun with it. Thanks a lot, my friend.
Oh, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
This is Snowman in the Morning.
I did not need to be told that.
Where true sports talk lives.
Excellent.
Can't wait.
He's back, and we're ready to talk all things NBA All-Star Game. William Morgan, one of my basketball aficionados, is back. How are you, my friend?
Hey, nice to be back, man.
Okay. I talked about this on Friday with my buddy Michael Lyle and one of my good friends, Darnell Solins. Who the hell came up with these rules for this year's All-Star Game?
The thing that kills me, they're doing it to me. They're doing it to try to increase viewership. But the thing about it, the names are so big, you're gonna get views from it regardless.
Mm-hmm. Why can't it be East and West again?
Right.
Can we just go back to East and West?
I'm there with you. Particularly with the way Giannis picks. He's picking his best friends.
Yes. This is why I don't like the captains. This is exactly why I don't like the captains. Because remember, the first year it was LeBron and Steph. And to be perfectly honest, Steph got screwed out of a couple of great players to be on his team.
He did.
Steph got screwed, okay?
He did.
So why can't it be just East and West? I guess the East got tired of getting beat up by the West. Like, if you want to be the team, beat the team. Exactly. Why don't people get this concept?
Exactly. And to be fair, Giannis probably been thinking the same way you were thinking, because most of that team is from the Eastern Conference.
Yes. So it should be East and West anyway. They just need to call it East and West and be done. This year's All-Star Game is in Chicago, my hometown. It's in the United Center. Last time it was in Chicago, it graced old Chicago Stadium. That, of course, was 1988. Here are the rules as I understand them, and you're allowed to laugh at any given time that I try to explain this.
Okay.
Each quarter begins 0-0. So, if Team LeBron beats Team Giannis, say 30-25, then Team LeBron wins $100,000 for the charity of their choice.
Okay.
Then you reset the score. Yeah, you know this is going to sound crazy. Then you reset the score for quarter two, and if Giannis beats LeBron by that same score, then Team Giannis wins $100,000 for the charity of their choice. You reset the score again for quarter three, and remember, each of the first three periods are 12-minute quarters. You reset for period three, and if Team LeBron wins again, then they get $100,000 for their charity. Now, if the quarter ends in a tie, then you roll the money over to the next quarter, and whoever wins the quarter wins the whole pot for their charity.
Right.
Folks, I'm as tongue-tied as you are trying to decipher this mess.
What happened to the day?
Here's the kicker. I didn't give you the best part. The first three quarters are 12-minute quarters, okay? The fourth quarter is an untimed quarter. So they take the cumulative score of the first three periods, say Team LeBron leads 85-80. All Team LeBron would have to do to win the game, and this is where they honor Kobe, is tack on 24 points.
There you go.
So if Team LeBron scores whoever scores 109, and this is the example that I was given, then that team would win the All-Star game. I have so many questions, which begin with, why the hell wouldn't you keep the running score anyway?
Right. Right. I don't get it. What has happened to the days of us having a traditional All-Star weekend? Now, if you want to do a slam dunk competition, the 3-point shootout, you can do a big men's competition. You can do a 1-on-1, which I would love to see between certain players. I mean, and then do the traditional All-Star game.
You know something? Bring back the old timers game.
Yeah,
you got enough folks. Bring back the old timers game. Okay, that was one of the features of the weekend.
I'm with you.
You play 2 halves, making a running clock. You're good. Bring back the old timers game.
I'm with you.
This skills competition, for lack of a better term, to me, is boring.
It is. It is.
I understand the slam dunk. I understand the 3-point competition, and nothing will top 1988 when Michael Jordan won in front of his hometown fans. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
That's when Michael Jordan tore the roof off the joint.
Yep.
What has happened? And I plan to have Courtney Harden on later this week to discuss this same subject that we discussed a few years ago. What has happened to All-Star Weekend? What has happened to the luster that is All-Star Weekend?
Corporate, I believe, plays a hand in it, so to speak. And certain players not wanting to compete, or certain players dropping out after they said they would compete that you would want to see. I'm thinking that those are the 2 biggest factors on why this All-Star Weekend isn't what it used to be. And it's just a damn shame, because I can remember, man, like it was yesterday, Dominique, Spud, Jordan, all those for the slam dunk competition. But yet and still, you got LeBron James who won't do it.
You know what? I've always had a problem with that. I understand. Look, MJ put in his years as a slam dunk king. All right? He had nothing more to prove on that realm. Then, of course, he goes on and wins 6 championships. He had nothing left to prove. Why do you think LeBron James will not get in the slam dunk competition? What's up with that?
I don't know. Maybe not now in year 17, but back when it was year 9, year 10.
He could have easily participated.
Yep.
He could have easily participated.
Yep. And let's not forget this also. Jordan embarrassed himself in the 3-point competition.
Yeah, he did.
But at least he went out there and tried. LeBron can't try to slam dunk.
And you would think it would be one of his specialties.
Yeah.
You would think it would be one of his specialties. Here's a funny moment. Here's a funny moment, and I know a lot of LeBron fans are going to get on me about this, but you honor Kobe in the Staples Center. If you're the Lakers and Lakers fans, I'd be a little upset for this reason. You honor Kobe on a Friday night, a full house, a lot of folks watching outside, and then you go out and lay an egg against the Portland Trailblazers.
Yeah, that's a problem.
They laid a big fat egg against the Portland Trailblazers. They allowed 127 points to the Portland Trailblazers. And also, if you're a Lakers fan, I'd be worried about this. You're playing the worst team in the league in the Golden State Warriors. Why did you allow them to hang around on Saturday night?
Yeah.
Why did you allow them They're not playing their best ball right now.
No. They're what? They're playing 500 ball the last 11, 12 games. They're playing 500 ball right now. So, they're not looking very, very good.
And in many ways, neither are the Clippers. They got smashed by the Minnesota Timberwolves on Saturday night.
Oh yeah.
If you're playing the worst team in the league, and I go back to the Lakers, if you're playing the worst team in the league, and you allow them to hang 120 points on you, you win by 5 in San Francisco. But remember, this is the same Warriors team playing shorthanded that beat the Houston Rockets by 12 on Christmas Day.
Yep. Amen. They should be ashamed of themselves. They should be getting up. They played down to their competition, and they shouldn't.
And for me, that's always been an issue with LeBron, playing down to his competition. I'm sorry, I have to speak it the way it is truthfully seen by my eyes. It just seems that with LeBron, even though he's in year 17, he plays down to his competition.
Yep.
He plays down to his competition. He's always, since he's been in the NBA, and we're talking about an incredible 17-year career, we're talking about since 2003, doesn't it seem to you, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth at all, but just follow me here, doesn't it seem to you like he's playing down to his competition instead of up?
Yes.
So
I believe you.
So why has he not gotten the message yet that he has a bullseye on his back and has for 17 years?
He needs to, because a lot of these games, everybody keeps saying that LeBron is this, LeBron is that better than Jordan. But the thing that's killing LeBron, I think, is his thought process in these games. Instead of coming out and taking over and setting the tone for his team and getting AD and he's trying to pass too much. He's trying to defer too much.
Yeah.
AD is fine because you got to feed AD in the post. That's fine.
Absolutely.
But when you're trying to get other guys who's come up short this year, i.e. Kyle Kuzma, you can't do that. You need to come out and be the tone setter. Get your own game going. Once you get your game going and your shot falling, then you go ahead and start facilitating to AD and other people. But get your game going first. And a lot of times out of LeBron, you don't see that.
You really don't. And he's so afraid, in my opinion, in a lot of games, he's so afraid to get his game going because he doesn't want to take away from others. And that part I understand. That's a lot of MJ, okay? But the difference is, Michael knew he can take over a game at any given time.
Yep. Exactly.
The biggest difference is Michael knew he can take the game over at any time. So,
and you're even seeing, and if you even look at, I don't mean to cut you off, but even if you look at LeBron, he's even being exploited defensively.
Yeah. He's been exploited defensively for the last 5 years. And everybody wants to go back to that chase down block in 2016 when he got Andre Iguodala. And I'm so glad the next year the Warriors got even, but that's a discussion for another time. Like, oh, that's the greatest defensive play I've seen in finals history. Please. I've seen much better, much earlier. Apparently, if that's the greatest defensive play, the chase down block by LeBron, if that is the greatest defensive play that you see in the NBA World Championship Series, obviously you haven't seen Larry Bird do his thing. Obviously you haven't seen Magic Johnson or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar do his thing. Obviously you haven't seen the bad boy Detroit Pistons do their thing. The Bulls, the Spurs. I'm going there. I'm going all the way there. Obviously you haven't seen those teams do their thing. Okay?
Yep. And even though they lost the other night, I still like the Clippers coming out of the West.
Yeah.
Because their strengths are, A, they got that dog in them, but B, look at what they hit you with. They hit you with the start, and then they bring Morris. They bring Lou Williams off the bench. Oh, my goodness. And while the Lakers are And the Lakers are long and they're tall as a team, but
they're short on the bench.
Right. They're short on the bench. You can't count on Rondo anymore.
Nope.
I don't know what you might get something off Caruso, because he'll probably take Rondo's minutes now. But for the most part, I'm loving the Clippers right now. Clippers Bucks. I'm calling it now.
You know something? Here is a move the Lakers should have made, and I said this on Friday's NBA podcast, and I'm saying it now, and I think you'll agree with me. The fact that the Lakers didn't even blink trying to get Andre Iguodala is an indictment against the Lakers.
I think it's more on an indictment on the fact that they're trying to keep their core, and they look at Danny Green, they look at Kyle Kuzma as part of their core. And you look at LeBron, you look at Kuz, you look at Danny Green, look at AD. That's what they want. Anybody else is up for trade. The problem is nobody else wants those players.
No. And I wouldn't either.
That's the problem.
And I wouldn't either.
That's the problem.
I wouldn't want them either. I mean, why would you even take that? Why would you even take that chance?
Nope.
Why would you even take that chance? And again, I say that the lack of moves by the Lakers, especially when Andre Iguodala has been available all season, is an indictment against the Lakers, because it shows me they don't want to win, because they had a chance to get a proven winner. Nothing against LeBron, nothing against AD, nothing against Rajon Rondo. But you had a chance to get a proven winner in Andre Iguodala. 3 championships in 5 seasons. He was in the best culture. He was in the best basketball culture for 8 years, and you didn't go after him. Why?
Another thing that's indicted, that's kind of got me upset too. If you really, really wanted to trade Kyle Kuzma, they didn't showcase him at all.
Nope.
You could have showcased him within that second unit, but they didn't do it.
Nope. And they don't want to do it. My feeling is they don't want to do it. They want to hold on to him in case some even bigger trade bait or free agency bait comes around, i.e. Karl Anthony Towns. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something that a lot of people don't think will happen, but I think will. Karl Anthony Towns will end up in the Bay.
I think so too. Because now they have assets. Now they have assets to do it by getting rid of D'Angelo. So they have some assets. So I can see that happening. And Rob Pelinka.
They snatched Andrew Wiggins. The Warriors snatched Andrew Wiggins in a one-on-one trade for D'Angelo Russell. Now, Russell is busy, has been proving himself all year. I understand that. But the Warriors need some depth on that bench. And they're getting it. And they're also getting a lot of draft picks. Here is the biggest piece of the puzzle that I see happening this summer, and if I'm totally wrong, I am totally wrong. All these draft picks that the Warriors have available, I say they will still be able to get Karl Anthony Towns and not sacrifice one of them.
They might.
It may, if they cost anything for Golden State, it'll be the same kind of deal that the 49ers made for Jimmy Garoppolo. Give up a second-round pick and you get your franchise quarterback. They'll give up a second. The Warriors will give up a second-round pick, if not 2, and they'll get another franchise player that they can keep in their system for a good 4 to 5 years, because they have their core. They have their core. They got Stephen Curry. They got Klay Thompson. They got Draymond Green. Okay? And Green is the only one that's been healthy all year long. My point is, they can easily talk to Minnesota and say, look, we'll give you a few second-round picks if you give us Karl Anthony Towns, because now you get Minnesota thinking young again. They already gave up Andrew Wiggins for a song, and I got nothing against D'Angelo Russell at all. Don't get me wrong. Nothing against D'Angelo Russell at all. Nothing against D'Angelo Russell at all. But at the same time, at the same time, the Warriors are thinking 4 or 5 years down the road when they rule the roost again. I have a feeling this summer Karl Anthony Towns will come to San Francisco, and he won't even blink when they make their offer.
I can see that. I can see that because it's a winning culture. And they'll have Andrew Wiggins there to be Harrison Barnes 2.0.
Yep.
So I can definitely see that.
And you can see the Warriors rebuilding right in front of our eyes, and no one will say it. No one will say it because everybody that thinks they're an NBA fan, and you and I have spoken about this before, any and everybody that thinks they're an NBA fan are celebrating the fact that the Warriors are having an awful season in the midst of their dynasty. And they're still a dynasty because they've won 3 titles in 5 years. This is a horrible year because they lost Kevin Durant to free agency. You lose Klay Thompson in the World Championship Series. You lose Stephen Curry at the top of the season. I mean, what are you going to do? You're without 3 of your best players. And Kevin Durant hasn't played 1 minute this season, and I don't think he'll play 1 minute next season. I don't think he'll play for 2 years. And he's going to languish in Brooklyn. Unless that injury heals the way it is supposed to heal and the way he wants it to heal, because you're talking about one of the most gifted, athletic 7-footers with a consistent jump shot. Pay attention, LeBron. With a consistent jump shot that can knock it down from anywhere as well as post people up. That ACL injury is going to mess him up for 2 years, because if you look at all the reports, and if you know anything about physiology, that MCL injury takes 2 years to heal. 2 years. So Klay Thompson is lost for this year. We all know that. He's probably going to be back in October because the Warriors lost him in June. Okay? So when June comes around, it'll be 1 full year. You give him another 5 months on top of that, he'll be fine. Stephen Curry will be fine. Kevin Durant will not.
And he still won't be 100%. He might be maybe, 80, 85?
If that.
Yeah.
If that.
He won't be 100%. He won't be 100%.
And also,
he may have to adjust his game a little bit.
And also, who's to say Kyrie Irving will be there after this year? The way this year's going.
Look. I am a Spencer Dinwiddie fan. Dinwiddie, I'm sorry. And I am a big fan of his. He's doing it when Irving's not in there. He's been tasked with the job of running the team, and he's been doing a doggone good job and making a lot less money. So if Kyrie Irving can't come back, hey, so be it. He's been doing a great job. He's been doing a fantastic job. And if he can't come back or can't come back healthy, hey, you have somebody there who can run that point guard position.
Absolutely. I mean, the Nets are a mess. Even though they're competing for a playoff spot right now.
Huge mess.
They can
Huge mess.
Here's the point with the Nets. They can get to April, but this team won't get beyond April. Big problem.
Nah. Can you imagine if the Nets was over in the West? They would stand a chance coming out of the West.
They would
not one shot coming out of the West.
Not a chance at all. Not a chance at all. Not with the way this team's constructed.
And there's a whole lot of disappointing teams in the league this year. The Nets are so much disappointing. You look at the Philadelphia 76ers.
Oh, God.
Very disappointing given the talent on that team. Miami's gotten stronger. Toronto's holding pat. And of course the Bucks. It's just the Bucks. I mean, they're playing good basketball right now. That's the team to beat right now. That's the team to beat.
Well, you mentioned a team that I have not been sold on since they drafted Ben Simmons, and that's the Philadelphia 76ers. I said earlier in the season that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid will cost Philadelphia more than enhance them. Ben Simmons can't make a jump shot. Joel Embiid's taking too many jump shots. He won't camp in the lane.
And another thing I don't understand about Joel Embiid, he be having the craziest injuries or reasons why he can't play.
Right.
It's like, stomach flu, stomach virus? Not saying that it's not devastating, but, bro, how old are you?
Yeah. Yeah, that can happen to anybody. Here's another move the Lakers should have made, and they didn't. Why didn't they go after Derrick Rose? Because the Lakers are in desperate need of a point guard right now. Rajon Rondo is not the answer.
There's a story out there, too, that I think Detroit wanted Caruso, was going to give him Rose. Lakers denied it.
I wonder who denied that deal.
I don't know. It could have been Pelinka. It could have been Buss. It could have been Vogel.
Pelinka.
I don't know.
Listen, it ain't Pelinka. You and I both know, and by that evil laugh, you already know the answer. Pelinka didn't deny that trade. Come on. Who the hell do you think denied that trade?
Yeah, we know it was.
Who the hell do you think, whose name ain't Rob Pelinka or Jeannie Buss, put the kibosh on that move?
It was Bron. It was Bron. And if he did put the kibosh on it, it was stupid. Derrick Rose is playing very, very well right now.
Yeah.
And he could have been a benefit to the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
Inside outside game. Danny Green posting up for threes, him driving, penetrating, kicking back out to him, setting him up for the 3-point shot. But you can't do that now because he's gone. He's still at Detroit.
And two moves were there for Los Angeles to make. They could have gotten Derrick Rose, and they could have gotten Andre Iguodala. And I'm willing to bet you, there is one person and one person only who put the kibosh on both of those trades.
Ron.
Yep. And I have another rumor in my head of why. They're going after Ben Simmons.
Whoa!
I have this strange feeling because Ben Simmons is a part of Clutch Sports.
He is. They made it.
Yeah. Who do you think? Yeah, he may have signed an extension with Philadelphia. But who do you think? And nothing against the players, okay? This is just what I feel. Who do you think sniffing around trying to get Ben Simmons on his team?
Oh yeah.
No other team.
You're wrong.
Yeah, no other team wants Ben Simmons for the simplest of fact. Ben Simmons, for the life of me, cannot hit a jump shot.
And I don't understand it either because I looked at him early in the season when he was over at Rico Hines doing those Rico Hines runs. He wasn't even trying to shoot then.
Nope. And he ain't trying to shoot now.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. You have to continue to develop your game, and for some reason, it's like even if you get a mid-range, DeMar DeRozan's got a mid-range. Even if you get a mid-range game, it will serve you well. He don't even have that.
DeMar DeRozan's career is going to last a lot longer than Ben Simmons' career is because Ben Simmons, if he doesn't get traded to the Lakers within 2 years, Ben Simmons is finished.
I think he'll be regarded as a bust if something doesn't happen within the next couple of years. Because if he's not going to take it upon himself to develop that jumper, at least Giannis developed the jump shot.
Yep.
You see Giannis taking more outside shots now. That's what Ben Simmons needs to do. That's what Zion needs to do. And I don't understand why these players don't want to develop a jumper.
And I'm not too high on Zion either. I've never been high on Zion Williamson. You know what? We'll close with this point, and I want your thought on this before we close up shop here. Zion Williamson is playing out of position. He is playing way out of position. If he were to lose 40 pounds and really get in basketball shape and develop a jump shot, he could be a 2-guard. Easy. He doesn't have the handles to be a point guard. He doesn't have the jump shot to he can post people up, because of his sheer size.
Right.
But people will figure that out in a heartbeat. Just ask Harrison Barnes.
He knows all about that. He knows all about getting figured out.
Just ask Harrison Barnes.
I've gone out and said I think Ja Morant's going to be a better rookie and a better overall player between the two, because he won't have the weight issues that Zion's going to be facing with each and every year of his career. Particularly when he got drafted, because he got drafted, he's with the Pelicans. You know that he's good down in New Orleans now. All that interstate and all that red and black gumbo.
And that's what everybody was afraid of. That's what everybody was afraid of when Zion got drafted. And why did it take this long? His weight is a problem.
Yep. And Ja may stay in the game maybe 10 more pounds of muscle, but outside of that, I think Ja's going to be a better player than Zion overall.
Ja is more developed than Zion is. Ja actually has a jump shot. Ja actually has court knowledge. Ja actually is willing to make his game better.
And then on the other end, despite his slender size, he does put effort on defense too.
That he does. He's going to be a defensive dynamo when he really gets developed. That will do it, folks. And I want to thank y'all for joining me for this program. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, have a great day. God bless. Remember to make your next move your best move. And always remember, if your dreams don't scare you, then they are not big enough. Dream big, do bigger. I am, and I hope y'all are too. Until next time, Snowman out.